All right, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy Ron coming in with you guys for another segment of the Melanated Council. As you guys can see down here below, typically we try to go live every Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, wherever else you're in the world. I guess figure that one out. All right. As always, we thank you guys for liking, subscribing, and joining the show. Please leave a comment. Let us know that you're here lurking in the shadows. And even if you don't say anything, at least let us at least say hi to us so we can at least acknowledge you in the chat, okay? So don't be afraid, don't be afraid. And again, like I said, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're always welcome to be here. All right. So um what can I say? What can I say? What can I say? What can I say? There's been a lot going on today. Of course, we got a lot going on. And so I know with tonight's episode, we are going to talk about it. We're going to get into it. But before we get into tonight's discussion, we always do this around here. If you haven't been a part of the live stream and this is your first time, typically what we do is a virtual check-in, mental health check-in, just to check up on everybody, see how everybody's doing. Also to check up on how's everybody's day doing. It's a little kind of like a little short meet and greet like we tend to do. And we've been doing it for the past 6-7 months, almost about a year now. It will be about a year. Matter of fact, no, it's been a year. That's what we did. When we did our 2-year celebration, what we ended up doing was doing a mental health check-in, just checking it in with you guys, making sure that you guys are doing cool and great. Because I know, and my two other co-hosts know, we know that you guys are all over around the world doing great and awesome things in your community. And so we want to tip our hat off to you. We want to salute you. But also at the same, like I said before, check in with you because you guys are a part of our community. You guys are a part of our show. And without you coming in week after week after week after week, we wouldn't be here. So we love what we do, and we want to check in with you guys, making sure that you guys are good and great. But without further ado, I'll do my check-in. And so I'll go first since I made it here first. Sorry, first, whatever the case may be, I'll go first. So what's been happening in my neck of the woods? I have to get some water. Excuse me. Tired. So, your boy is getting ready for this wedding down in Texas. My sister, if you guys haven't been following, my sister's getting married down in Texas. And so me and the missus, we're flying down there tomorrow night to, support my sister. And this is my older sister. And so, yeah, flying down tomorrow night, and show her some love, support, and hanging out with her and the family and everything else. So that's gonna be a good plus. Hopefully, I will get an email tomorrow saying that my tuxedo at is in Kalamazoo. It's the city that's just 30 minutes from where I'm living at, and so I get to go get my tuxedo, and then from there, we're on the road going to the airport, going to buy my way through traffic and just have a good old time, just having a good old time. So I'll get a chance to hopefully try on my tux and go from there, do what we got to do. I was hoping it would come in today so I could try it on, see if it works and try to get it altered. But hey, y'all know how it is, especially if you have already ordered like a tuxedo before. It is what it is. So looking forward to that. Kids at the school, they've been different. If I want to say that, if I can say that, they've been different, especially like the last few days, they've been really different. It's kind of, hey, what's going on, Chad? Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll be wearing a tux, and so I will do my absolute best to take a photo of me being in tux. If y'all don't know, you're gonna know now. I don't take a whole lot of pictures of myself. I don't. But I think this weekend I might take a couple. I might snap a couple. You never know. You never know. So I'll do that and I'll post them in the Discord so you guys can see them and whatnot. So yeah. And again, I think that the tux that I got is really nice. It's really nice. It's not like the dirt cheap tuxedo, but it's also not the super expensive one. And I got it just so it kind of fits my body style, or not my body style, it fits my body shape and whatnot. I know a lot of my other suits that I have at home, they're I want to say they're not super loose fitting, but it's a nice snug fit. Hey, Mish. Hey, the number one moderator on Twitch, Mish. What's going on? What's going on? And so, yep, that's what's going on with that. So I'm excited. I'm kind of nervous, kind of not nervous, kind of mad because I done forked out like a lot of money. But I mean, again, it's my sister's wedding. And so she invited me. She said, "Hey, brother, can you come out?" I'm like, "Sis, I don't know. I'll try." She said, "Please, please." I'm like, because you said please and because you asked, and I haven't seen you in like ages. I guess it's probably like the only time I can actually see you face to face. So like, whatever. So making everything work from the hotel reservations to the flights to tux. I know the missus, she bought a dress and her clutch and a lot of this other stuff, like all the other accessories she's had to buy. I know we recently went to the mall, and so she got a new pair of shoes that she actually likes. And I know for me, it's out of my comfort zone because it's the pair of shoes that I don't like them. They're just to kind of throw this out there. They're platforms. I'm not a huge fan of platform shoes per se. I'm not. I have not. I haven't been a huge fan. And for her, she's always wanted platforms, but she was always under the impression that she could never walk in them. So she got her a pair of platforms. She walked in them just fine. And so she likes them. I'm like, well, babe, if you like them, go for it. Who am I to tell you no? It's just, it's out of your comfort zone. It's out of my comfort zone. You like it. I just got to deal with it. So, boom. There goes that. Um, Doing some packing, washing clothes, and everything else. And so I know she's handling the laundry for me while I am here doing this stream. And I told her when I get back, whatever she didn't get done, I will pretty much take over and handle it from there. I know at work tomorrow I have a short day. So, well, hopefully it'll be a half a day. Hopefully I'll work half of my day. So just so I can come home and get everything else squared away and everything else. I know my mother-in-law, she is coming down to pretty much watch over the kids as we're going out. And again, we'll be back Saturday. So it's not like gone for a whole week. Not that kind of a trip. Gone all day Thursday, all day Friday. We'll come back. I know we're leaving like sometime in the afternoon or late evening on Saturday, and then be back in town probably like early Sunday morning. So yeah, that's what's going on with your boy. That's what's going on with the boy. Other than that, how's everybody else? How you guys been doing? How's everybody's week's been doing? What's your plans for the weekend? If you made any plans, what did you guys do last weekend? I know last weekend just did a lot of shopping. Well, the missus did. Let me take that back. The missus did a lot of shopping last weekend. I was just there just to kind of be, support and everything else. But other than that, yeah, that was it. That was it. I know once we get back, we'll be focusing on Thanksgiving. I know we got to hit up like 4 or 5 different houses for Thanksgiving this year. We got to go to my aunt's for Thanksgiving, and then one of the clients that my wife took care of, That family has invited us out to come out for Thanksgiving. And then I know one of the members of our church asked us if we could swing by, grab a plate or two. I'm like, man, we'll do the best we can and whatnot. But yep, we got literally a full day of just eating food, eating food, eating food, eating food, eating food. Of course, voted today. Yay! Lovely times, lovely times. So voted today, and we'll get into that later on. We'll get into that later on. But other than that, yeah. Hey, yo, Gil. What's happening, homie? Yes. Yes. Everybody, what's going on? What is up? What is happening? What is popping? What's good? What's great? You know, we all in here. We all in a big, happy family. So I basically shared what happened from last week, Tuesday, up until this week, too. Hey, Liz is in the house. Let's go, Liz. Let's go. Everybody's showing up today. Woo, woo. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. So I got to do something. Well, hopefully I can do this really, really quick. But I gotta. All right. All right. Let's go, Twitter. Hopefully we got some responses. If you guys haven't followed the Melanated Council on Twitter, what I'm trying to do was try to get some generation of some tweets going and trying to kind of like solicit what's going on, but it's okay. It's a-okay. It didn't go as planned, but I'd rather have a plan than no plan. I'd rather have a plan than no plan. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. So that's where I'm at right now. And y'all, excuse me, it's been a long day. It's been a long day. But we'll get through this day. We are going to get through this day. So yeah, again, how's everybody else's weekend been going? You know, I know you guys are probably typing in the chat and everything else. So you guys throw in like, how's your guys' week been going? What did you guys do last week? What did you do last weekend? Do you have, like I said before, do you have plans this weekend? Excuse me. I believe it. I believe it, especially down in your neck of the woods, Gil. I know y'all been having a woof. I know y'all had a day down there. But even then, I mean, even up here in Michigan, you know, it's been okay. We got a few stuff that's going on, and again, talk about that later. A few stuff going on, but I got a good feeling. I got a good feeling. Hopefully, the people of Michigan don't let me down this year. But then again, you know. Hey, there we go. Nice. Oh yeah, that is true. That is true. What is it? What is it? Tropical storm? What, Nancy or something weird of that nature? Gil. I saw it. I saw it briefly. It was tropical something. But hopefully you are hanging in there, and doing the best you can to stay safe. As always, please stay safe. Yeah, Nicole. That's what it was. Nicole. Wasn't close at all. I said Nina. Nah, wasn't close at all. But yeah, Nicole. So are they projecting it to become a full-fledged hurricane, or is just it's just going to be at a tropical storm at this point. Because I feel for y'all down in Florida. I do. I was gonna say Texas, but my sister lives in Texas. Yeah, shows you where my mind is at. Because I find your guys' weather down there very interesting for Mark, you play too much. I get it. Yeah. Yeah. Just a storm? Okay. Okay. Just a storm. Okay. 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 Why you say it's a blessing? Why you say it's a blessing, Mark? Like, is it because y'all trying to get rid of some stuff that don't need to be down there? Like, what's up? Like, you tell me. You help me navigate in your neck of the woods because I'm not from there. I'm not. Mm-mm. I'm not. Oh, speaking of crazy weather, so apparently, I know this past week's. Okay, okay, okay. I get it. I get it. You know, hey, can't get. I can't get mad at that. I can't. Mm-mm. Right. That one right there. That one right there. Still gotta work, man. Yeah, I know the slack, which is funny because I know up here we had this beginning part of this week going into like the late part of last week. We got hit with a bunch of windstorms, and I think along the west coast of Michigan, they got hit hard. They got hit hard. And I think, and I almost want to say, because I know a lot of that came from the plains where a bunch of tornadoes touched down, like in November, which is to me is uncommon, but at the same time is like, I guess, which makes it even funnier because even then last week here we were rocking like 50s and 60s. I think at one point in time we had like 70-degree weather for like a day or 2 days, which was like unusually high in November for Michigan. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. I mean, somebody got to go to work. And yo, with that being said, listen. Y'all keep go ahead. Y'all keep doing what y'all got to do in the chat. I am going to introduce my other 1/3 to make this a 2/3. So this man, I'm hoping he got us some good news because if he don't, I personally will drag this man literally through the camera and I'm gonna beat this man myself. Y'all know who this is. He had once had the Pelosi fridge. He downgraded. He ain't got that no more. So hopefully he may have a Pelosi car. I don't know. I don't know. We got something. So he is here with us. Y'all know him as Mr. Yeah, trucks are good. Yes, trucks are good. Trucks are good. Next time we get, well, the next video come and get us a truck. But, but yeah, but without further ado, I'm going to bring in Mr. Steel Girl. Give her back, Steel Girl. Give her back so she can cook dinner again. Y'all know him. Y'all love him. Y'all give it up for my man Toby.
Hey, thank you.
Hey.
Thank you. Much appreciated. Definitely much appreciated. Interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
Yeah, that man in Florida.
showing up
Hey, what's going on, D?
I think.
Welcome to the party. Yeah, that too. King, you right, Gil. You
What
right,
was it
Gil.
that you said that you have to pull me through the screen if blank or if
No, I said that you better have us some good news about the Pelosi car, because if not, I'm going to drag you through this computer
Oh
screen
god,
myself. I'm gonna
Pelosi
beat you.
car, which is
I'm
very
going.
unfortunate because the news with Pelosi and the anyway, we're not gonna get into that, but Pelosi and cars and DUIs, but we're not gonna have a Paul Pelosi car. But when it comes to vehicles, the good news, Young Slaughter Gang. Wait, what's that? Okay, maybe I'm like I shouldn't even say that. I should just be like, yep, nod.
Just nod a wave, just nod a
Hey,
wave.
what's up, man? Yeah, it looks like I'm also not even like logged in properly right now because it's not giving me any access to this right now, which is no big deal. But the good news is that yesterday I did I got all the documents to my bank on Monday,
Mhm.
or technically
Okay.
Friday, but Friday they were like, oh, it was a whole lot of back and forth. It was annoying because the dealership, we could have done everything in like 1 or 2 trips, and I had to go there 4 freaking times. And like it was like a 40-minute drive or so going to
Mhm.
Manchester, New Hampshire, and it's not that far out of state. It really isn't that far, but it's like, do I really need to drive over 30 minutes this many times because they weren't available to do XYZ or whatever? So
Right.
it was kind of annoying. Hey, what's up, Elizabeth? It's good to
Yeah.
see you here.
Yo, nobody
And then,
care about you.
yeah, I
Nobody
know
cares. About you.
they're spam. Not you, Liz. You're great, but these other girls, whatever nonsense. Thank you, because I was like, I can't do anything to block
No, I
until I
got you.
logged in properly.
No worries. I got it. I got it. I got us. You go ahead, Toby. You go ahead.
Yeah. So, was able to get some stuff done. I mean, it took a bit just to get everything to what it needed to be, but finally, go, when I did get myself, when I got myself all set up, I was able to give the documents to my credit union on Friday, and they couldn't process it then. If I came earlier, I probably could have gotten it processed, but I just wasn't about it. And they close early, like 3:30 every day, because they're located within my company. Which I
Mhm.
mean, that's convenient, but it's very inconvenient to close at 3:30. So they couldn't process the documents till Monday. So then I had to go get the check Monday, and then I had to then drive because the guy I was going to meet, the sales guy, he told me that maybe I could meet him somewhere else, but his schedule wasn't really good that day. So I ended up having to drive all the way to the dealership, which was fine because technically I had to sign some paperwork anyway. I forgot that was
Mhm.
part of it. You have to sign some paperwork. Plus, I also took the opportunity to like do another, not test drive, but just testing some things in the car. So if there was anything that was off, I could say on the spot, "Hey, this thing's not working. This isn't working well. This needs to be inspected before you guys give it to me." So they're gonna do registration on the car as well as whatever the other important thing is. Registration. Oh, the detailing. It should already be pretty maintained because it's a certified pre-owned. Um, so it's already there, like at a Hyundai dealership. I don't really have to worry too much about like did it get maintained properly. But it would be nice if it was fresh, new, oil change, rotations, and then the guy will fill it up with gas, which is really great.
Nice.
And he said he would drop it off for me free of charge, which is nice because that's a 40-minute drive, and I did not want to have to figure out how to Uber. Though I have some good friends. One good friend in particular, she said that she would be willing to drive me up if need be. Um,
Mhm.
if I like actually can't get the car delivered, she would be willing to drive me, which is super cool. But I'm hoping that they'll keep their word. But the guy said it could take till next week Monday, which is a hot mess. But like,
For your
hopefully,
car.
yeah. When I told my parents in our like WhatsApp, my dad was like, "Why is it taking? What is there any reason why it's taking this long?" And I said maybe it's because it's an out of state thing and they have to deal with the state DMV. But I'm like, I don't know if
Mm.
that's really it. And I was like, maybe it's because I'm bringing outside financing. But honestly, once you give them the check, I feel like it should be the same whether it's in house or outside. So
Mhm.
I was hoping it would just take a few days. Like they could get it registered at the RMV, is our version of the DMV. Like get it registered at the RMV, get it detailed by like Wednesday or Thursday at most. But at this point, it might take until Monday before they're ready to drop it off, which is a hot mess. But we're here. So Chad, unfortunately, no, I don't have it. Gil, thank you for co-signing. Um,
Yeah,
and
that is a hot mess.
there's already some strange things, but I kind of was like, you call it sunk costs, I guess. I was already too deep into it, and I was like, I'm gonna. Plus, it was actually, I would say, I wouldn't call it my dream car, but for the cars that I was looking at, I would say this has to be the car I get, which is, by the way, the 2020 Hyundai Elantra Limited, which is the second highest trim right below the Sport version. Limited trim is pretty nice. Heated mirrors, heated seats, wireless charging built in. Stuff that I wouldn't have really cared that much about, but the fact that like I could get it was like, you know what, let me go for this. Hyundai's
Okay.
cheaper. They have really good warranties, like probably the longest warranties built in for like a lot of the major manufacturers. So I was like, this seems like a good decision, even though the mileage is more than I would want, like 43,000 miles for no 47,000 actually for a 2020 car, which I think technically the car was like, it's 2020, but most likely it was purchased in 2019. But still, it's like kind of up there. So, but I'm just glad I'm kind of over with this time next week. I definitely have to like have a car. Like that is not acceptable if by next stream I'm not in possession of it. But I mean, in all accounts, I am in possession of it because the check was checked, the financing was financed. Um, it's just kind of like a formality at this point, I would say.
Man, I don't know. I'm agreeing with Gil. That's madness. Ain't no way. Ain't no way it should take a whole nother week for you to get your car, sir. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Like I kind of get the fact, like, okay, if you gotta go, well, but then again, like if it's getting registered in New Hampshire, it really shouldn't matter because you still have a good solid year before you actually can like get it re-registered in the state that you're living in now. So it's like, what's the holdup? Unless they're really going to go through and like nickel and surge every nook and cranny, right? Every nook and cranny of the car to make sure the car is in tip top shape, then okay, I get it. But once the check has left your hands, is in their possession, it's like, dude, what's the holdup? That's just me.
Yeah, and it's a certified pre-owned. It's not like they should have to do a whole lot of extra stuff,
Right.
to like really make sure things are good. So I'm like, it should be pretty straightforward, I would say. But yeah, we're here. So how do I freaking log into my team? I really am trying to log into this because it's doing a lot. Account settings. No, I'm trying to log in properly. There's usually a place where you can do my team drop down. Because I do want to have the proper. Once you go premium, you never go freemium, I guess.
Right. But
So
I want to say, Toby, at that part, don't even worry about it. I got to talk to you all stream about that one. Don't even worry about it. Got to talk to you all
okay,
stream about it.
gotcha.
Got to talk to you all stream. You're good. You're good. But yeah, I mean, but other than that, it's like you got a carish. Like you have one, but then you don't have one. And it's okay because the triune force is now completed.
See, I can't even see.
I mean,
Possibly, can they pull the rug? It's a contractual. I mean, it shouldn't be because with New Hampshire, they don't have a cooling off period where you can. Where even on my end, I can't cancel after like 3 days, which was what I did last time I bought my Civic. Which, by the way, you guys probably got it because y'all are smart. But that's what my name is about. Is the last car I owned was a Honda Civic, and obviously Civic involving elections. Now my Civic, I had to cancel the sale because they were giving me 6%. And my credit score at that point, which I'm not even going to say what my credit score is right now, but at that point, it could have been dang near 740, which as a grad student coming right out of grad school, having over 700, over 720, my credit it was actually pretty good. And so I was like, my credit it's not exactly up in that top tier, but it's very close to the top tier. And
right.
no one's like look at this and say, "Oh my God, you only have the 720 credit score." I'm like, bro, I'm 23 years old. I haven't even had a full time job. Like, this is good. So they were giving me 6%. My parents were like, that was way too high, and I was like, yeah, I was hoping to get 4.5 or lower. and it was a certified pre-owned car. So I feel like the score should have been a little lower. Like new is of course going to be the best, but a certified pre-owned I feel like is the next best. And so I had to, and I was trying to tell them like I'm actually like I would really want to rework the score, but they kept trying to say like it's your car, you're the owner of the car, there's nothing to do about it. And I was like, well then I'll just cancel the sale and start over. And they're like, wait, sorry, what did you say you wanted to do? And then I was like, oh yeah, there we go. Now you guys want to give me something. So they lowered it to 5%, which my parents thought was still too much. Like magnificent credit score. Thank you, sir. That's amazing. 23 years old. I mean,
I get that one. I got that one.
I mean, my score has taken some hits recently, like quite a lot, but at least my credit union came through and gave me a score that's reasonable for the high interest rates of the country and also just a lower score. If I bought this earlier in the year, then it wouldn't have been as big of a deal, both because lower interest rates and better score. But I didn't have a choice really to buy, but now, so I'm glad that the direction has gone what it is. But I will see how long I keep this car.
There you go.
It's a good car, but if fortunes improve in the next few years, I might even set my sights on something higher. But it depends on how I'm feeling.
Right.
But you were saying, Ron.
Yes. Like I was saying, our triune, the Triforce, can now be completed with this last addition to the 2/3 of the Melanated Council. This young lady, this woman has no F's given. She does not care about your feelings. She will completely humiliate you and annihilate you in Super Smash Brothers. It will get real cheeky about doing it. She has no chill whatsoever. No chill. But because she has no chill, she's chill with us. So I like it. I take it. And she's just fun. She's just fun. Y'all know her. Y'all love her. Y'all go ahead and y'all give it up for our good friend, our homie, Elle.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey. Sorry I'm late, everyone.
No, you're not. You're right on time.
Oh, I thought you were saying no, you're not sorry.
That's true.
Like,
sorry, not sorry.
Oh man. Then you can't spell chill without L, so
That is true.
With two L's. With two L's.
Exactly. So you need another one of me. Hope my internet's all right. I'm getting like the unstable connection bullshit.
There's a slight visual lag, but it's not nearly as bad as like I've seen.
Okay.
Like with the issues that me and Ron had in the last few weeks, you're doing better.
Amazingly better.
Okay.
Yeah, I can only barely notice it, and it's not consistent, so you're good for now.
Okay, because it's like I feel like there's no rhyme or reason as to why this even happens.
Shots fired. Shots fired.
Without L, it's just 8.
She did eat. She ate.
Yes.
She ate that. Especially on her podcast. Check out her podcast.
Thanks, yo.
What's going on, Spring?
Oh, hey, what's up? I think I remember the Caesar from.
Hey
yo.
Hey yo. Yeah, I know, Gil. She come with the heat. She coming with the heat. So
I try.
What you mean you try? Stop it. Stop. Now you being modest.
Okay. I do.
There you
Obama
go.
said that's what I do.
No.
I'm dead. Not the calling out. Not the truncated government, or I should say the suffix.
That's hilarious.
Chad's got jokes. I saw Chad's given
Yeah,
I can't. I'm not gonna give anyone. I can't. I can't say who's the best commenter, but I will say Chad's giving these people a run for their money. In terms of the wit.
I mean, you wouldn't be wrong in your assessment there. So, yes. But
No, if he doesn't.
L, how was your week last week? Because we missed you. We missed your face. We missed your voice. Yeah. We just want to hear from you and see what's going on with you and your adventures.
Ah, man. So it was quite a week or a weekend. I'll start with Saturday because that was like more interesting. I can't remember what was like even going on in the week. I guess like Halloween and life. But so Saturday, no stuff. So Saturday, I went to it was a busy as fuck day. I went to the gym with my trainer, and then I'm like, this is gonna sound weird, but I'm in the running to win a television at my local BJ's Wholesale. Because I actually like signed up to see if I could just win this random ass TV contest, and they were like, "Oh, you're one of 9, so we're gonna give you a $40 gift card, but you have to have somebody come to your house and test your water and like do some sort of like water treatment like test." So I was like, or whatever. So I had my friend come over just like, to have a man in the house. I didn't want to just be by myself or like this man giving me a presentation and trying to shove a water filtration system down my throat. So that happened, and then
oh yes.
Excited. And then I was like, I gotta find something to do. The BJ cup. I said BJ's Wholesale. It's like Sam's Club.
Even when you first said BJ something, I was like, I'm gonna hold my.
Yeah, I was surprised that like nobody was really saying anything. I was like, I guess everybody knows what this is.
I mean, because I know BJ's. Sam's Club is the one that I'm used to, but I was just like, I'm just gonna let this joke be.
Right. Yeah.
And Chad just goes, nope.
Yeah. Chad had no chill. Yeah. No chill, Chad. There we go.
No, Chad had to be Chad. But yeah, so essentially. I did not win a TV, but I won a $40. I mean, hopefully I win the TV, and I can't remember when the drawing is. I think it's like the end of this month. But
oh no, you just got it.
You got it.
I mean, winning a TV in a BJ contest I wouldn't be mad if somebody won a TV in a BJ. I wouldn't.
I would just be like, dang, all right. I would be impressed. I'd be like, all right. I have no choice but to be impressed, though. That's what.
Right. Because that person, clearly gives amazing enough BJs to win a television. It's an 85-inch television, too.
Jeez.
I know.
Quite the heads up.
Right.
To give quite the heads up.
Quite the heads up.
Figuratively, early.
Exactly. So, yeah. So, like, and then I just kind of kept myself busy. Like, I ended up. Wait, y'all are getting TV?
No, Beesh. No, I'm not in that one. No, I'm saying no. Ooh. No. Not winning TV for that. No.
I'll let you know if I win the TV. But I am in the running, so that must count for something. Hey.
Right. Right.
And so like I decided to just, I guess, like kind of keep myself busy. So I went to like, like I always go to a coffee shop on the weekends to like kind of just, work on some personal, like, personal projects and just like stuff.
Mhm.
And because I've been, really just trying to, I guess, like start to try to like, like make money offline doing something, whether it's like, I don't know, just finding some way to make money. Because it's always good to have like a, second form of income, especially like with, like inflation and, it's just smart to have some kind of like, whether it's passive income or like some kind of active income of some kind that's like just not your full-time job, that's something that's kind of outside of it. So that's, what I spend my time doing. And then I found like this really great sushi spot. Like it was actually like really good. Like the sushi was kind of like the like melt in your mouth kind of sushi, which is hard to find, not in Japan. So I was like, oh my god, this kind of reminds me of when I was in Japan. So the sushi spot was really good. Then I went to a wine bar because I had like these free like wine tickets, and I was like, let me see if I could use one of them. That didn't happen. It was for whatever reason happy hour at the wine place. It was buy one get one free wine. Had no idea. It's called Rebel Wine Bar. It's like Oakland Park area near Funky Buddha. Like Gil knows what I'm talking about. It's a cool little tiny spot. And it's relatively new, but yeah, it was like buy one get one free wine and like favorite piece of sushi. I definitely like salmon. I guess it's more so like sushi rolls. Oh, the sushi spot, what was it called? It was called Ichiyama something. I'll share it in the Discord. Ichi. It was somewhere in Fort Lauderdale. It was near like Broward Boulevard. Yeah, it was like a little bit south of Broward Boulevard, like in like Second. I think it was like Southeast Second Street somewhere. I don't know. I'll share it in the Discord. But yeah, no, the sushi was awesome. And then I went to the wine place, chilled there for a while. And then, funny enough, I had to go to BJ's because I needed trash bags. But I didn't have the $40 gift card yet because they're going to have to mail it to me. So I'm like, all right, I have to go buy this old-fashioned way. And and then I went to this brewery called Yeasty Brews, which it seems to like attract like a very like community type of people. Like it was only my second time going there, and I've already like kind of this is gonna sound a little Slumdog Millionaire-ish, but the first time I went there, I met like these two two awesome chicks. And one of them was like telling me about like this guy that she was dating. And then I go the second time, it's like a different group of people. And then I'm just like talking to them. BJ's for me. That's really bad. That's really, wow, chat is that bad. Chat is that bad.
Hold on. I got you. That's
funny.
Oh, we own that time already. Even though that was last month, but I guess it carried over. But moving on, L.
Yeah. Anyways, like long story short, I ended up like meeting the guy that she was like talking about. Like hey, he's a good guy. I don't of course like know the story or anything at all, but it was just it was like kind of funny putting like the pieces together. It was like it's like, oh, this is the guy. But yeah, like they're a cool group of people. It's a cool crowd.
Mhm.
Like very like community based, very nice. Like you could just kind of go there and like immediately just make friends. And then I went home, get the BJ discount. For what it's worth, it stands for Berkeley and Jensen. Anyway,
I had no idea actually ever that BJ stood for anything, to be honest. But it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I don't have like their water bottles here. Do I have their trash bags? Did I get their trash bags? I can't remember, but it's. I think I did. It's Berkeley and Jensen. Anyway, and then Sunday, my friends, she had like a birthday brunch at the beach.
Nice.
Like, so it was nice. That was my weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
Oh. I guess long story short, I also had a date yesterday and it went well. But yeah.
Nice.
I'm out here dating and living life well, I guess.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Considering I hadn't gone on a date. Well, I've had, I guess, 3 dates in the past month, which is good considering I didn't go on a date for like a full year prior.
That's a pretty good pace.
Yeah, I guess I'm well on my way to, I don't know, relationshipville.
Relationship.
I mean, you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere.
Very true.
Yeah. I don't know. Sounds scary.
What's
Yeah. Cuffing season in full effect. Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, that's why she out here.
Like that's like why I'm getting fit and shit and going to therapy to be the best I can be to find someone who is also great, who's gonna elevate me and not weigh me down.
Hey.
Ooh, facts.
Mm-hmm.
Facts. That is real facts. You spitting real facts.
Yeah.
I hear you. So, are you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, Toby, you down there smashing. So, whose idea was for the topic tonight?
I think it was L.
I think I came up with like the name, but I thought it was like Toby.
Wait,
because we were like, because we knew it was like
Go ahead, El. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I thought it was because Toby mentioned that it was like election day, which it is. So I guess you can still vote in like the West Coast. But yeah, if polling places don't close until 7, right? I think they close at 7, which is kind of early. I feel like for election day it should be 9.
9. We closed at 8, and I feel like we're one of the later ones.
Yeah, 8 is late, but like is later. But I feel like polling places should close at 9. That's not 7.
Agreed.
Like 7 o'clock is like, oh, I just got out of work. Let me go stand in the long ass line to go vote. But
right.
This fucking country, man, just trying to make voting as difficult as possible.
Agreed. I agree. I agree. And Toby. Okay, I will I'll piggyback off of you and basically go like this. So, with tonight's topic again, talking about politics around the table, and I know the one big thing I wanted to kind of like talk about in a more so open way and more so in depth was a lot of the ballot measures that are going on, the respective states that you guys are representing. My own, and then even those in the chat as well. If there were any ballot measures that made it on, feel free to explain what's on there because I know for us here in Michigan, we had three big ones. One was term limits. Term limits were on the ballot this year. The other one was voter ID and having the drop in or the drop boxes for the mail-in ballots to be established. And then the third one was protecting reproductive rights. So we had those three on the ballot this year, which was like, yay. But on the flip side of the coin, even though we had those big three, like as far as like local elections go, wasn't a huge turnout this year. It wasn't a huge turnout, and I'm kind of like disappointed. I'm kind of disappointed, but then again, it's like I understand, but again, I'll get into that a little bit later on. So, yeah, we're going to talk about politics. We're going to talk about the elections. We're going to talk about a lot of things, and as well as how does that conversation happen around the Thanksgiving table if it does happen. If it does happen. So we got a lot to unpack. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to try to get this done in a reasonable time. But if we don't, oh well. We'll keep going until it's the cover.
I'm dead.
Don't you be? I need you alive for like a little bit longer. So don't you die on me on stream, Toby.
Why would you do that?
So my computer actually, I don't remember what. I don't even know when I plugged it in. I must have plugged it in before I came on, but I wasn't charging it all day. So the fact that I'm not lagging and it's charging is a very good sign because the problem is usually it lags a lot when I charge it. But if it's not doing that, then we're good. I'll be good all stream.
Perfect. I'll take it. That is a small win for me. I'll take it. So
big win for me.
So, Toby, what were the ballot measures that were placed upon your state's ballot, and what's the races looking like in your guys' neck of the woods?
Well, mine are fucking down the toilet. Ron DeSantis and Rubio both won. But it wasn't like surprising. I was kind of hoping that Val Demings would win, but so I knew that DeSantis would win, but I don't know.
That was definitely
like, I don't know. It's weird because it's one of those things where it's like I don't know if we're like just really fucking gerrymandered, if we're like if there's like corruption going on because like there's definitely corruption in Florida. However, there was some good news. Maxwell Frost out in I believe he's like in the Orlando area. He became the first Afro-Cuban American and the first Gen Z congressperson to win.
It's a commerce person.
Congressperson.
Oh, Congress. Oh, yes.
Yeah. So he like whether man or woman, he was the first person, first Gen Z.
Yeah.
So that is pretty amazing. Let me see what.
Yeah, I need to keep some tally I have like multiple devices that I'm using mostly to stream, but I need to figure out what I can use to kind of keep the score. I imagine Yahoo News, which is usually where I get my break-in updates, will keep posting. Yeah, but most of this news is still pretty stale.
Like, have we heard about Philly? I mean, Pennsylvania.
I'm sure that's not going to get called for some days. They're
really?
not, because mail-in ballots are higher than they were in, I think, 2018. Now, I think the Supreme Court did strike down the way that mail-in ballots could be processed because it was like very broad, and that was like a big and actually that was done pretty bipartisanly. But then there was a court challenge, and then the Supreme Court, I think, opted not to hear it because I think the state Supreme Court basically said that extended mail-in ballots could be used for the 2020 election. That got struck down like maybe not even a whole month ago. So that there will be mail-in ballots, but I feel like it's limited. But it's still not limited enough where you're gonna know the results on the first night. So I imagine that one's not gonna get called. Maybe the governor race, because if it's very clear that Josh Shapiro is gonna win, then that's when, which it's I know like Maryland and Massachusetts governor races were called like immediately. Both of them were Republican governors in the past, both pretty popular Republican governors. Kind of funny that those are the two states that I kind of like claim. But the two Democrats this year both won easily because the Republicans were Trump backed and not really in touch with reality. So I think this year, in terms of, I mean, same thing in Pennsylvania, but Pennsylvania is just a way swingier of a state. But I imagine the governor should win pretty easily over the Republican, who also has alienated a lot of people to the point where the police, I think, unions endorsed the Democrat, which is like not normal for a governor-wide race. They did that actually in Maryland too, but Maryland is also different because of how blue it is.
Right. Looks like Herschel Walker is in the lead, but that's with 66% reporting.
Yeah, that race is going to hold for a little bit.
Yeah, he is up by like 40,000 votes. Maybe under like 38,000.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's gonna win, but not over 50%. I didn't think that was gonna be the case, but recently I don't think there's a lot of hope that Warnock is gonna actually outright win. But it depends. Depends on how many people vote third party, libertarian, and if maybe there's a surprise for Democrats. But it's not looking very hopeful over there.
Yeah, that sucks. Like, for whatever reason, why people just like, I don't know what the heck Warnock even did for people to be like, no, not him. Why is that, New York?
Yeah, New York and Oregon. That's how you know the country is like gone to hell. And I'm not even just saying that because it's like, oh, the Republicans are winning, but like the fact that there's enough people that aren't satisfied in a state like Oregon or New York, like there's a big problem.
Right.
I don't think Lee Zeldin will win in New York. I think it's going to be very close. Very, very close. I mean, he could win, which would just be insanity because that means New York City just didn't turn out. And the upstate New York did turn out in very large amounts. And you have other parts like Long Island and Staten Island that are more conservative near New York City, but Staten Island's a borough, but Long Island and Staten Island could turn out and force for Republicans, but I don't know. And then Oregon, I wouldn't be surprised if they elect a Republican governor because of the way things have trended there too.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, sorry, Mark. This is funny. He's like, Lord have mercy. I'm like, yeah. I already saw that comment that they weren't going to call. That race was going to be very close.
I mean, I'm happy with John Fetterman though with Pennsylvania.
Oh, the leads. I haven't seen the percents, but I heard 5% were in right before the stream started. Maybe.
I mean, right now he's up by like 5%.
I don't know if they're counting mail-in ballots first.
I mean, I think Chad just said the mail-in ballots were in first. Mail-in is, I think, already in. Philly in person might take a long time. So I know that I thought they always just do in person first, and then early votes, and then mail-in. I thought that was the order.
Mm. Who knows?
Those
Who
races
knows?
are going to be interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for Pennsylvania because, like, I think I've told you guys, like, I feel like the two places that I would probably move to would be Atlanta or Philly.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a long ass fucking time to get to narrow it down to like two places. I was like, where the fuck do I want to move to?
Right.
If Georgia turns blue, like, oh, I didn't even check like the governor's race. I'm looking at the Senate because I feel like the Senate is so important. But like,
I'm not very hopeful for the government. I mean, we'll see. It's interesting, but
Mm-hmm.
it's like the Senate race should be a lot closer than the governor's race. But yeah, it's interesting that it hasn't been called yet because that's East Coast, so the polls are definitely closed. In Georgia, I don't imagine has like a ton,
Ooh.
especially with the way that they passed that law last year. I don't imagine they have a ton of mail-in voting, so most of their votes should be in person or like absentee votes that were already like the votes that should have probably already came in. Like I imagine that they're not going to get like a slew of absentee votes like a week after. Because Georgia took a very long time to call, like even later than Pennsylvania, in 2020.
I mean, for New York, it's saying. I mean, this is only 25% reporting, but like, the Democrat is up by like 50%. Like, she's at 64 and the dude is at 35. So that's at 25% reporting.
Yeah, I find it terrible that like not being able to pre-process votes. Also, for what you said about the 50% out, like that's hey. Or maybe actually, I'm interested in Mark. You said it's too close to call, not too early to call. Because usually too close to call is when more percent has come in, but it's just literally too close. If 25%, I mean that's not that much. But unless the margins are supposed to be so wide at 25% that you just call it. But I don't know. What I was about to say was I think with Pennsylvania, oh yeah, it just sucks that a lot of those measures, like very sensible measures, like pre-processed mail-in votes, pre-processed early votes. Actually, there is a state, I think like Arizona does pre-process some days in advance, but they have so much mail-in ballots that the pre-processing doesn't really help as much. I mean, it helps obviously, but it'll still cause delays just because they have so much mail-in ballots. But Pennsylvania and other states like shot themselves in the foot. Like they could have easily pre-processed these things so that you don't have these dumps of ballots at like 1 a.m. that people are so afraid of because you process these things in advance and all you have to do is tally them on the day. But that makes too much sense. As Chad said, you have purposefully things done in a way that makes it less credible and it doesn't help anybody actually.
Right. Right.
I don't know if this was highlighted. I know that's what you were just saying, Toby.
Yes.
Yeah, just kind of the way that shows up results effects. Yeah, the reason why like Republicans do that's because, you know, like when they report like election day votes, usually Republicans vote on election day, so it always seems like it skews red at first at the beginning. And then they start counting the early votes, and they start counting the mail-in votes, which usually Democrats vote. It seems like my county in Florida still stayed blue, so that's good. But like Miami's, I guess, got red. Looks like Palm Beach County was very red too. Well, fuck Palm Beach County. But Miami, that's kind of sad. Orlando stayed blue. That's good. Oh shit! Tampa turned red. Fuck, that's bad. I heard that Hillsborough County and Pinellas County. I don't know how to fucking pronounce it. Pinellas County. Those are like Tampa and St. Petersburg, which is like West Florida, where like University of South Florida is. they're usually pretty blue. They're probably blue maybe on like election years, like presidential election years.
Mm.
Maybe they're just kind of weak. I find it so weird how people just don't know to vote for like the midterms. Like I don't know what it is with the midterms where people just like, eh, you know. Like
It's more
my
important.
brother called me at like 7:45 p.m. today saying like, "Oh, who should I vote for?" I was like, "Well, clearly no one."
So he called you what time? 7?
7:45 p.m.
Oh,
Like,
it was closed. I'm guessing it right now.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I was like, nobody. Yeah, it's looking like Palm Beach is red.
Mm.
I mean, they do need to read too.
I'm dead. But Miami, I didn't realize until I heard recently on the radio. They have a Republican mayor, but probably much more liberal type of Republican.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I know that they had a competing thing with New York City to be like the first mayor to accept their salary in Bitcoin. I just assumed that it was a Democrat. That was like that was basically when Eric Adams became mayor earlier this year.
Right.
So it wasn't until some weeks ago where I heard some spot on the radio. I didn't actually hear the whole conversation, but like it was just the beginning, and I was like, oh, interesting. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of kind of mix and matching. Things are getting more polarized where things are sort of sorting themselves back out. But then at the same time, you're seeing crossover where it's like you might have Republican Oregon, you might have Republican New York, and then some red states. Well, I don't know if you're going to really see blue in red states, but I don't know. Not everything lines up the way you think it would. So that's just, yeah. Roll through that aside. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like the time, yes, that is still true. But there was a pretty big swing, it seemed, for Chad's last comment, by the way, which I can't highlight right now. But there does seem to be a big swing back in sort of the other direction. Like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But I feel like if this election took place in September or August, Democrats would have swept, not necessarily kept the House, but they won a lot of special elections and like certain things. I shouldn't say a lot. There's only a few. And I feel like if that momentum was there, Democrats would have done much better. Keeping the House is optimistic, but they would have overperformed quite a lot. Now I'm not really sure because the road has been sort of a bit away, but we'll see. You can parse everything out, do Monday morning quarterback. Wednesday morning quarterbacking. But I know you were asking Ron about the ballot initiative specifically, right? So
wait, sorry for interrupting real quick. Why is Kansas like kind of blue right now?
Yeah, I saw an article that said Kansas apparently actually was having. Was it Kansas? They said some state where it's a tougher than expected challenge for the GOP. Kansas, I think, has actually though a Democrat governor right now, and Kansas is also a state with the abortion. Yeah, I forgot her name. She's like the silver-haired lady.
Laura Kelly, is she rerunning?
Yeah, she's up for election right now.
Like re-election, you mean?
Re-election, yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't no idea that they had a Democratic governor this whole time. Really?
Yeah, apparently. I don't know when she was first elected.
Oh shit, Kansas. The fuck? And then New Mexico. Are they usually like Democrat?
In New Mexico's, so I didn't realize how blue they were. They actually are relatively blue.
Right.
I don't remember what the margin was, but they're much more blue than like Arizona for sure, and even more blue than Nevada from what I can tell. So New Mexico is probably one of the bluer ones in the Southwest. I don't really know what's going on in the ballot over there. Like I haven't been following. I just know Arizona and Nevada are kind of the big two ones that people in the Southwest are looking at. And Kansas, I don't know. Like y'all are looking at maps. I right now have nothing. The only map I have is the road map from the tongue to the stomach through the esophagus.
What?
All this food I got going
Oh,
on.
Man, Toby.
These baby back ribs, but I'm kind of scared to eat them right now. But I need to eat them while they're still warm, so I don't know.
Yeah. Does Vermont usually have like a Republican governor? Because Vermont turned red this.
I mean, they have a Republican governor. They also have Bernie Sanders. They had like one Democrat district that was one congressional district, which used to be a Dem. Now there's the person, because basically that place, Vermont, the person retired, and so it was like okay, someone's gonna fill in the gap. The lady, I think Becca Balint was her name. She would be like the first LGBTQ congresswoman or congressperson in general from Vermont. The first woman also from Vermont. So Bernie endorsed her, and she won her primary over like maybe a more moderate person. But the other person she won over was also a woman, so it would be historic regardless. And then the guy on the Republican side, this is really weird. This guy is like a progressive, very anti-establishment person who somehow won the Republican primary. I forgot the guy's name, but he won the Republican primary. However, I don't know exactly how. And the thing is, if he had run a certain way, he actually could have basically revoked the Republican thing and ran and just been an independent. But he didn't really consult with them the way I guess you're supposed to. So I think he ended up meeting with the Republicans. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what's going to happen there because like he's a very much anti-war, very progressive. Didn't hide anything about himself. Still won the Republican primary. Vermont's a very interesting state.
Okay. I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, because I would just see random clips and stuff here and there about different races, and I would kind of forget it for a while and be like, "Oh yeah, that's happening." It's a lot of states. It's only 50 states, but it's a lot of action. Even freaking Oklahoma. I'm kind of curious if that race was called because the Republican governor was kind of struggling in the polls for a state that Trump won by like 30 points. The governor was statistically tied with a former Republican running as a Democrat, doing better than Charlie Crist at least. It seemed because at least she was like a superintendent of some schools. She actually went viral for saying that Oklahoma has a worse murder rate than New York or Chicago, which is true though. There was some parsing out of those numbers. I don't know. There's a lot to be made, and I can't wait till we have a proper conversation on crime and crime numbers, especially now, given how much like it was the talk of this year. But like that was such a fascinating thing going on. I mean, the guy will probably still reelect, but will still win reelection. But she kind of pulled together some coalitions. The Native American federations endorsed, and they don't normally, I guess, get involved at all, but they endorsed her. And she was a former Republican, so it's not like she was like this lifelong Dem. So I don't know. Oklahoma and some other states that are supposed to be red, like Missouri. I think Missouri is pretty safely red. But there was a point where there was almost a populist leftist that could have won the Democrat primary, and then a very scandal-ridden former governor who literally almost got impeached. He was indicted but acquitted on some charges. He almost won the Republican primary, but those two people lost. But if those two people ran against each other, there could be a Democrat from from Missouri right now. But they both lost their primary, so now you just kind of have a traditional Democrat and a traditional Republican. So now that seat's probably gone. And Missouri is actually where I was born, for those who don't know. Even though I don't really claim it, because I only lived in Missouri for 4 years before moving to Maryland.
I didn't know you lived in Missouri.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I was. This was my birth certificate. It's weird because if I have to fill it out, it's like, yeah, Missouri is my birth town, but like...
Birth state?
You said what?
Your birth state, you mean?
Yeah, well, yeah, because I was thinking, in my head, I said the name of the city.
Okay.
But yeah, the birth state. So... I don't know, like I don't follow Missouri politics or anything, but you know, it was kind of interesting to see what was happening this year. Right. And that's also, unfortunately, the state where those like the white man and woman pointed a gun at Black Lives Matter protesters that were marching. So that guy actually, who got infamy, decided, "Oh, I'm going to run for Senate," but that didn't work out for him. But I'm going to run for Senate for pointing guns at Black protesters. That's That's great.
Right.
But yeah, that whole thing was a hot mess.
Oh no, I agree. I agree.
The ads have been wild. Oh, I imagine. Called the media label by someone as liberal, sport less of crime, reference to crime line. Yeah, it's weird because crime is much down from some of the worst peaks in the 70s, 90s, but it's up from recently. It's down actually from 2020 in a lot of cases, but it's still up from pre 2020.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of just a difficult case for a lot of people. It's a difficult situation for a lot of people.
Right. I know as you guys were talking, I was looking at what's going on in Michigan, and
I mean, it looks like
Just-
your governor is winning though. That's good.
yeah,
That's
I
just
mean, yeah, she is. She's winning. The attorney general, that's the one I'm kind of leery about because she's been doing a fine job. And as of right now, she's losing, but it's only been 2% has been reported in. So who knows? Who knows?
What are you saying? How much is being 20%?
Let me go
'Cause
find
I'm-
her ratings.
Like if you
Oh
really
no,
just
she's
do
up
it,
now. She's up now. She's up.
yeah.
So
'cause,
4%.
yeah,
4% is in.
I'm looking at Google. Google has a really good interactive thing.
Well, I'm on CNN. I'm on CNN right now.
Oh, okay, okay.
And a lot of the stuff that's coming in is coming in. So it's cool. So, ooh, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be very, very, very interesting. So, yeah, this is going to be very interesting. So, a lot of the
Is she? Is he?
who?
Are you talking about the Gretchen Whitmer? Like the person who's running against Gretchen Whitmer?
Yeah, it's Tudor Dixon. She's running against Tudor Dixon, and Tudor Dixon is a woman who is a denier, but she's been backed by Betsy DeVos. And if anybody who is from Michigan who knows anything about Betsy DeVos or anything dealing with the DeVosses, we already know they're not good people. They're not good people at all. Like, no, they're basically the worst of the worst, worst of the worst. And so, I know here in Michigan, I mean,
it's the LGBT woman attorney general.
I'm talking
wait.
about that race.
LGBTQ woman attorney general. Sorry, what are you talking about?
DePerno. Probably about DePerno.
I don't know anything about the attorney general.
Yeah, I almost want to say yes. Yes. Pretty much anybody that's running here in Michigan as a Republican, they are big deniers that the presidential election was rigged. Well, that Biden didn't win. The deniers of that Trump won. And as far as in-state goes, a lot of them want the Michigan 1931 abortion law to be set in stone. However, as of right now, with Proposal 3, it's actually doing fairly well. It's over at 50%, with 50% of the voters saying yes, we should protect rights and keep politicians out of the medical field, period. So you got that. And then the other big swing that came in was proposal two, which was to expand the voting access and policies, making sure that it's easily accessible. Again, that goes into early voting, making sure that people have the opportunity to vote early if they need to. It expands the fact of putting drop off ballots for those who do the absentee ballots, whether they go to the county clerk, they can have an actual designated drop off receptacle within the county that they can go and drop it off in. And that's huge. That is super huge. And especially when they do the breakdowns as far as like per county and how it's going, a lot of the counties that are for a lot of these ballot measures, typically they vote Republican, typically.
Mhm.
However, with a lot of the way how the races are turning out, it's turning blue in some areas. So I'm like, okay, cool, great, like that's amazing.
Mhm.
But at the same time, with the Michigan House of Representatives, with a lot of them up for re-election, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult because a lot of those races are really heavily Republican. A lot of them. I think the only one or two races that are not necessarily Republican held, but more so Democratic dominated, are the ones that's out in the Detroit area and let's see, where was it? Detroit area, and then another Detroit area. So two Detroit areas where it's like pretty much heavy blue. Those are the pretty much the two that are pretty much going to the Democrats, and then everywhere else is more so red. I think we got one other um, House seat that could go blue. But then again, like I said, it's more so Detroit area. So a lot of the Detroit based areas are blue,
Oh, right.
and then
Yeah.
everywhere else is red. Which I'm like, I'm not surprised, but then again, at the same time, I'm like, ew, like just stick a fork in me because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. But oh well. Oh well. So that's that. But the three ballot measures, those were my big concern this whole election season, was making sure do what I got to do to make sure those get passed because it's needed. It's needed. It's needed. It's needed. It's needed. And so back to Toby, because he was asking about the ballot measures. Like, yeah, like what are some of the ballot measures on that you guys saw on your guys' ballots that might have a chance of passing, that may not have a chance of passing, and then in general, what is it anyways? If you have any.
Hmm. Yeah, sorry. I just started on the ribs. Lord knows I'm like bibbed up. Um, I just literally give myself a towel to give myself a little makeshift bib because we are not ruining the clothes, my PJs or whatever. No matter how good these ribs are. So we have four questions. Probably the most confusing ballot questions you could come up with. So applause to Massachusetts for that. I mean, the concepts of like three of them are pretty simple, but there's just so much going into it. Number one, probably the most high profile one outside of the fourth one was to be able to put in the state constitution a 4% hike, not a hike, but like a 4% basically wealth tax on millionaires, all income over $1 million. You would put 4% permanently. And it's in the Constitution, so you can't change that without another multi-year long process. So I mean, hey, like that's a cool thing that's being put on the ballot. And that's actually nice because I mean that's like a wealth tax. Obviously, Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders had that, so it's kind of cool to see it at the state level, whether you agree or disagree with it. Let's hash that out. Let's see what a state tax would look like. And it's funny because the number one argument against it wasn't actually the argument that I assumed it would be. Millionaires are going to pack up and leave, and you're going to lose revenue to the state. Probably smartly because it's a smart thing they're not using that argument because New Hampshire is literally north of us. New Hampshire has 0 sales tax and 0 income tax. So clearly there's already states there near us that have less tax. So the idea that this is going to be the last straw and millionaires are going to pack up when they could have already gone north is not that probably good of an argument. I think the better argument was that the money doesn't have to be added on top of the money because the money is supposed to be appropriated for transportation and education. So, right. Which God knows we need transportation help. In case you didn't know, the transit, as we call it, the T, literally went on fire at one point, and someone had to jump out of one of the box cars into the Mystic River. She was fine. Oh, wow. She refused hospitalization. She jumped out the car into the river. Couldn't be me. Like I would have had to burn in the car, but which to be fair, like no one got hurt really, but it's still terrible that the car just like stopped and was on fire because that's kind of horrifying. So I mean that was shut down. We already had like a month-long shutdown of the Orange Line. But anyway, the point is we need a lot of help. The T, people love to hate it, and so the fact that you could raise possibly $2.8 billion or $2.4 billion is pretty good. But people are saying, one, people might rearrange their assets, so then you don't end up raising that much. You still raise like $1.2 billion. I had to literally do some speed reading on this earlier today, like watch some little short informational videos. They had some debates for the Boston Public Radio. Of the 4, the yes and no position for all 4, actually 3 out of the 4 ballots. One of them, they didn't have a debate. They just kind of had an explainer because that third one didn't have a lot of big money influence. It was more of just like 2 different sides. But the big money influence of this one, I mean, of course, you can kind of imagine people who don't want to pay the millionaire tax. But surprisingly, there was even like small farmers, small businesses, because they were saying that if they sell their farm or they sell their business or people who sell their homes, with housing prices, especially in Massachusetts, you might make $1 million from that home sale. But the yes guy was trying to say, no, that's not going to become income that you're liable for. You would have to make like a profit and like a very large amount of profit before you even get subject to that tax. The other thing, though, that was a pretty reasonable argument against was that the money doesn't have to be additional to what's already raised. So someone could say, oh, let's say we raise 1.5 billion. We're going to take whatever 1.5 billion we have, or not even 1.5 billion, whatever money is appropriated towards transportation and education could be like moved out. And the money that you get from this new constitutional amendment would replace it. So they're saying you might not make it additive. And that's a fair concern, but they said that, well, the guy who was on the yes side of it was like, we're not going to go away. The political process will play out. People who decide to like play games with the money will be punished at the ballot box in future years. But honestly, like I would say I was pretty for it. I'm kind of willing to see what's going to happen. Even if it raises less money, that's still more money to spend on transportation and education. So anyway, millionaire tax, cool. Number 2. This one is like dentists have to appropriate 83% of their revenue, because it's not exact, or is it profit? But 83% of costs have to go towards patient care and not overhead. Right now, that number varies, but there was like a really prominent example. I didn't hear of this until I watched the explainer today. But Delta Dental made like $300-something million in profit, and they spent like 200. They gave that basically to themselves, and they spent like 200-something million. So it was completely lopsided, and I guess there was some controversy over that. So this doctor, he's an orthodontist. He was the prominent yes guy. He was like, we need to make that. They call it the dental loss ratio or loss ratio. What percent of money is spent towards actual care versus admin costs? It should be 83%. With the Delta Dental one, I mean, that I think was under 50. That was like 40% maybe. It was something really terrible. And I guess right now people estimate that it's close to 70 something for a lot of dental companies. But apparently this is already mandated from Obamacare for medical insurance. So they're like, let's make dental insurance do the same thing. So it was a bit wonky looking at it because you really are saying we're going to put this at 83% mandated. And then people might have to pay fines if they're not within that. The no side of it was from a former state senate. He was a Democrat, but like a former state senator who was against it, basically just saying that you might lose access, you might lose choice, you might have higher premiums. The data on that's a little shaky, but whatever. Number 3, I'm gonna skip for now. Number 4 was undocumented immigrants. Right now there was a law that was passed. And it was actually our governor tried vetoing it. I didn't realize this happened. I knew that this law kind of existed, but I didn't know everything that happened. But the governor vetoed it. It was overridden because we have a supermajority, like a super majority of Democrats in Massachusetts. Basically, lets undocumented immigrants drive, get licenses, registration, and all of that, which apparently is done in like 16 other states. Oh, including DC. Maybe 17 other states, including DC. 16 states in the district. So the ballot amendment actually would repeal it. So yes would keep things as they are. No would, which I have to kind of read carefully because yes keeps things as they are, and no is the one that repeals it. And so that's probably the most controversial because even the millionaire tax, people seem to be a bit more like eat the rich, tax the rich. But like the actual like the undocumented one, that one is a little shaky. It might not pass. I'm not sure. So I forget. There's different proponents of it, but the main guy who opposes it is the attorney general, the Republican candidate for attorney general in Massachusetts. So he was opposing it. But apparently, all like dozens of police unions, not unions, but police chiefs in the country support it because they're like, hey, people are driving regardless, undocumented. So let's just make sure that the people who are driving, they actually are licensed, tested and everything. They're insured, so that way, and apparently it reduces hit and runs in other states that have tried this. But the guy who was opposing it said that fatalities went up 20% in all of those states. I'm not sure what data he's using to support that because obviously, violent crime has been up across the board. So is this specifically fatalities because of this law? I don't know. But hit and runs have been down since the law has been passed in all those states. Because it makes sense. If you're undocumented, you're less afraid of the police. Though you might still flee. So I don't know. So number 4 was also like not that. It was a little weird because it's a repeal of a law. And the law's not even going into effect until next year, like June 2023. But number 3, which I really did not want to, I'll do my best to make this succinct. It basically reforms alcohol sales in Massachusetts, but it's not very straightforward. The easiest part to understand is that it lets you accept out-of-state IDs. That's like number 4. There's 4 parts to this. So we're already off to a bad start. The fourth thing is that it lets you use out-of-state license, which for me is not a problem. I can literally pull out my Maryland license, and I've been able to use it at Total Wine. I've been able to use it at local liquor stores. I've used it at Wegmans and Market Basket. I don't know if they sell wine. But Wegmans is like our kind of regional chain. So you can already buy alcohol with out-of-state licenses, but I guess it mandates it. But there's the other 3 parts are kind of confusing. The first thing lets the number of total liquor, like the number of locations that I guess a chain can have in Massachusetts goes up from like 7, or right now it might be at 9. It goes up to 12, then 15 to 18 between now and 2031. So you can have more licenses to sell in Massachusetts from 19 to like 18. The second thing, though, is it limits the number of liquor locations. So where you can sell hard liquor explicitly, it limits it to 7. I don't know what the limit right now is, but it reduces the number of hard liquor, but it increases the total number of licenses. The third thing bans self-checkout of alcohol sales. I'm just like, who came up with this amendment? Why did we put like 4 things that aren't even fully related to each other in here? And this one doesn't seem to have a lot of big money influence. Like you have some loose influence of people like Cumberland Farms who are for it. You have a loose alliance of people who are like independent retailers who are against it. I guess because they think that they were going to get swamped out by these bigger retailers. Total Wine in them. I don't know, honestly. That one was kind of weird, but it's something that I guess people have been trying to like do reform for a while anyway. So this is going to be an ongoing fight regardless. So numbers 1, 2, and 4. Like that third one didn't have a debate because there wasn't really a prominent for and against side. But the other ones that I said, those three other ballot questions, they did have debates for them, and I thought the debates were pretty well. Like, they were only like maybe 15 minutes, pretty short and sweet, and you got to hear the arguments. So we'll see what the results of those are. I haven't been checking honestly anything, so I need to figure out what happened there. But I was happy that I went through all because I was like, yes, I actually understand what these things say. Because when I looked at the little information, I have the little. Well, let me try to do this. A little messy, but I have this voter guide that like came in the mail some time ago. So I guess it's mandatory. Like you get this information for voters, puts all the ballot questions and some other stuff. The thing is, though, happy hour wasn't in. That would be a great thing to vote on, actually. And I think the legislature does want to vote on happy hour at some point. But that would have been a good ballot question is if we could get happy hour. Because for those who don't know, Massachusetts is illegal to have happy hour. And Mish, I'm glad to hear your take on it because Lord knows I did not know what was going on with these questions. It's so dumb that some Trader Joe's are allowed to sell and some others aren't. I didn't actually know this was a thing because the only Wegmans I've really been to was the one in Burlington, which is the closest location to where I live. And that Wegmans has alcohol. So I didn't even fathom that there could be multiple Wegmans that don't have alcohol. So in Total Wine, we only have one, I think, in Massachusetts, or at least we have one major one also in Burlington. So I felt like this was like a lot of new information. I didn't know that these limits existed. I didn't even know you could do self-checkout of alcohol because Lord knows I never could have. My license, first of all, I guess it's, people don't think I look that, not that I don't look young, but like I don't get carded mostly when I go to stores. So it's not like I have to deal with the out-of-state licenses anyway. And when I do have to present my ID, no one's gonna be like, oh, you're from Maryland. Never. So I didn't even know that that was like a problem for some people to not be able to use out-of-state licenses. So it's kind of like, I don't know, the problem doesn't seem to be that severe and it doesn't seem to affect consumers that much outside of, yes, it is nice to have more options for a convenience store that maybe doesn't have alcohol where you are. So what you said, Misha, makes a lot of sense. Like if you notice Trader Joe's doesn't have it near where you are, then yeah, this bill makes sense. But question 3 was just a hot mess in my opinion. It's more than one Total Wine. So there is another one. I guess that's just the only one I know. I thought the other ones were in New Hampshire or something. I didn't know that was a thing. Wait, which part did you not know was a thing? The out-of-state licenses not being accepted, or the certain locations have alcohol but others don't? Getting carded and not being allowed to buy alcohol. Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing either. Because I mean, like I've been to different states, like Georgia, whatever. Maybe for a conference, and afterwards we decided to go buy alcohol. Actually, when I didn't even live in Massachusetts yet, I remember buying alcohol for a conference when I was there 4 years ago, and that was no problem. Georgia, same thing. When I was there for a conference, and we were like, "Let's get alcohol the last night," that was no problem. So I never even thought that other states, and apparently Massachusetts is the only state in the country that. But that's the thing. It's not like it's. I don't know who's not allowing alcohol because I really don't know who in Massachusetts does not allow. Out-of-state licenses. But apparently we are the only state out of all 50 that has some restriction against out-of-state licenses, quote unquote, even though I've never seen this restriction. The law passed.
I would have it.
No, so one person in the comments of like one of those debates was like, I love the idea of out-of-state, but the rest of it I'm not so big a fan on. What do you do? People were like, well, then you vote no, and you just let them come up with something better. People are like, yeah, this is how they get you. They stuff a bunch of things. That they have one reasonable thing and then you stuff it with other stuff. Question mark. Like I get that sentiment, but I don't know in this case if the other things are so bad.
Right. Well, that sucks. That sucks. And then especially like let's say if you got relatives that come out of town, and if you guys go to let's say a bar together or whatnot, to this outside of happy hour, and you guys decide you want to get a drink, but relative can't drink because their ID is out of state. It's like, man, that sucks. Like, we can't we can't even enjoy ourselves, and yet here you are, you can't even partake because you're not from Massachusetts. So it's like, it sucks. It sucks. But hopefully, with the way how things are changing for the most part, that it could get some traction where it's like, why not change the wording and make it like as plain as day rather than, throw some BS out there and knowing that the most average voter is not going to sit there and take the time to read everything and see what's in it, what's wrong with it, and have on good faith vote for it, or even then have somebody challenge it, have somebody challenge it. So it's like make it clearer and understand that your average voter can read it and understand it clearly to be able to cast a vote on good judgment. I mean, and again, the reason why I say that is because with Proposal 3 here in Michigan, that's exactly what ended up happening. The wording of it was trash. Nobody could understand what it was saying. It was very much confusing. And so they sent it back. It's like, nope, you send it back. It's not going to get put on the ballot until you reword it in a way where the average voter can, on good faith, cast a ballot whether it's yay or nay. And that's exactly what they did. And as of right now, it looks like we're going to have legal abortions in the state of Michigan. So that's a plus.
And that's that one. Gotcha.
Because even when it came out, early this year, I read it, and me personally, I was going to vote no for it because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand what it was actually saying. Hey, Rocky.
Hey.
Yeah, I did not understand what it was saying. It was very much confusing, and it sounded like a lawyer wrote it. That's what it exactly sounded like. It sounded like a lawyer wrote it.
Lawyer
and
brain.
So the language of it was like, I can't understand this. I'm not a lawyer. Like, no, I'm just going to vote no. And so again, like I said, you get enough people to complain about it, enough people who gives a crap about it, they're going to make some noise, and they're going to make the group, party, whoever who put it on the ballot reword it and in a way where it makes sense. That was so hard to get up.
Were you one of
what do you mean?
To communicating that? I was saying, like, because you said that people complained and they had to like say this doesn't make sense, put it back on. Was that more an administrative thing, or was that like people like you who like would have been pro-choice, but you just didn't like how it was worded, and so you kind of raised, like, were you someone who raised the complaint, or was it like other people?
It wasn't necessarily, I wouldn't say it wasn't necessarily myself, but it was those individuals who are pro-choice and who wanted that initiative to be on the ballot due to the fact of what happened with Roe v. Wade as that one got struck down. And so even reading the Michigan 1931 law in its entirety, that one was a headache. I'm like, oh no, we need to get something put in place because that's not going to work. Not at all. That's not going to work. And so that's when like I was saying before, that's when they said, well, let's make sure that we can safeguard legal abortions and put safeguards in place where it can happen. And again, with the writing and the way how it was made confusing was a no-go initially. But again, other people who were pro-choice, who are pro-choice, who was like, no, take it back, rewrite it, make it plain English, please, so we could get it on the ballot. That's what they did. That's what they did. And even then, like the ballot initiatives here in Michigan, you only need like 400,000 signatures to get a ballot initiative put on. You only need 400,000 signatures. That's it. That is it. And if you get enough people to go around and collect those signatures and make sure that they're legible, making sure that they're legal, legit, and whatnot, it'll be all right. It'll get there. It'll get there.
Also, Chad Benz. I'm here for it.
He says as he leaves.
Oh.
Like, I'm here for it.
In spirit.
Yeah, be a Chad.
Like, are you? Are you here for it? It doesn't look like it.
Mm-mm.
No, I vote for Chad.
Oh, I'll vote for Chad.
What a Chad. Be a Chad.
Be a Chad, vote for Chad.
Derail America, or what was that? What was your slogan again?
Rail America.
Rail America. Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course it wouldn't be derail. Yeah. Rail America. Republicans, politicians have been railing America, so you might as well go with me so I can at least rail it the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself a Benz. Love it.
Hey.
Yes.
Get yourself a Benz. I love it.
We couldn't afford a car, so we elected a Benz.
I'm done.
Right? I'm with it. I'm with it. I am with it. L, did your state have any ballot initiatives put on this year?
Yeah, we had 3, which were kind of, I feel like 2 were okay, and then 1 was kind of weird. They all passed.
Okay.
So the First Amendment allows lawmakers to change property tax rules regarding flood resistance.
Ooh.
I think that was, if I recall correctly, it was kind of like about, like I'm assuming because of like hurricanes and like rising tides and all that shit. Like, I think flooding doesn't need to be like, I guess, constantly added in terms of like towards like insurance, like to make things more expensive. I might be wrong. Let me see if I could find exactly what it means. Anyways, number 2 was it abolishes the state's constitutional revision commission. The revision commission is a 37-member panel that meets every 20 years to propose potential amendments to the state constitution. I honestly voted to abolish it from just kind of like reading about it a bit. It just seemed like, I don't know, like every 20 years these people meet up to. I mean, it's not the worst idea, but it's like, who are these people? But I don't know if it's going to like limit, like voters or anyone from actually getting like amendments put in, But like, it's good to like, yeah, of course, like have like a revision. I just didn't like how A, it was every 20 years, and B, it was like this 37-person panel is like, like who the fuck are they? So
Very specific number.
right. But I don't know. The thing about this kind of shit, it's like it just feels like you're always just gonna pick the wrong answer. So,
Right.
especially when you're in Florida. The Florida number 3 amendment allows lawmakers to change property tax exemptions for some public workers. amends the Florida Constitution to allow the legislature to pass laws providing a home property tax exemption for teachers, law enforcement officers, correctional officers, firefighters, emergency medical responders, military members, and child welfare service workers. So it's like getting like I believe like a bigger property tax exemption, which is good. I won't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't lie. I could be kind of salty when it's like, oh, like law enforcement, correctional officers, but it's like, they lump teachers in there, so it's like, oh, this is when you care about teachers, okay.
Right.
But yeah, what was I saying? Like allows lawmakers to change property tax rules regarding flood resistance for the First Amendment. Let me see what that does exactly. A yes vote supported authorizing the state legislature to pass laws prohibiting flood resistance improvements to a home from being taken into consideration when determining a property's assessed value for property tax purposes. Prohibiting flood resistance improvements to a home. A no vote opposed the amendment, thereby continuing to allow flood resistance improvements to a home to be taken into consideration when determining property tax purposes. I don't know. I mean, I feel as though, like, my bad. I thought I understood that question better. Let's say there's house. I mean, I feel like flood resistance improvements to a home should be taken into consideration. Like, I was under the impression that like flooding kind of shouldn't raise your insurance, sort of thing. That shit could like get kind of annoying, and like it's hard to like really guess and imagine that because of global warming and hurricanes and shit like that.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I would have thought. Wait, I'm sorry.
Sorry. I was gonna say. Once again, you just feel like you're always picking the wrong answer.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second. I got.
No, you're good. No, what I want to say to your point, Al, it was like, because of the fact that homeowners choose to live in Florida, understanding that with the hurricanes coming, that yes, like there's a possibility that your house could get, it's a natural cause that's going to happen because of a hurricane. Your insurance shouldn't go up because of that. And recently, not too long ago, I just found out that the car insurance companies here in Michigan, they were using Detroit and Flint as the basis for cars being stolen and jacked up, which causes the premiums to go up when it shouldn't have to be. And so, oh yeah, they were doing it for years. They were doing it for years, and so it became a I think it became a ballot measure where if you live in Michigan and you have car insurance in Michigan, that the car insurance company has to provide you coverage and rates, has to provide you coverage rates based upon where you live and not based upon like a generalized area. Meaning if you live in let's say Grand Haven, if you live in your rate wouldn't be the same as somebody that lives in Grand Rapids. Okay. And again, Grand Haven, it's along the Lake Michigan, it's along the lakeshore. And so rates going to be different versus if you live in Grand Rapids, where again, because Grand Rapids in itself is like 50% urban and 50% not urban, a lot of the rates are going to be different. And so they're like, no, you can't do that. You're not supposed to, you can't do that. So what ended up happening was when people found out that was a thing, their insurance companies was basically sending them checks as far as like overpayment goes. And basically they had to legally adjust their rates that fits their customers based upon the area where they lived in, and not for like a generalized area. So hopefully hopefully the homeowners down in Florida, they'll get something like that where property taxes and your homeowners insurance should not go up just because you live in an area that could be a high flood zone. Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And even then, case in point, the house that I'm renting in, technically it's in a high flood zone area, but then again, it's not. Like my neighbor house across the street, yes, high flood zone area. My neighbor's house to the left of me and to the right of me, yes, they're a part of the high flood zone warning. But my house is not. But at the same time, yeah, I know it's weird. Super weird.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what that looks like.
Super weird. Like,
yeah.
Like, what do you mean? Like, it again, case in point, one year we had the river behind the house, it flooded. And so I could see it creep in my neighbor's backyard. And I was like, man, if this thing floods anymore, clearly it's going to overtake my neighbor's backyard and it will get into my backyard. It's just only a matter of time. And I would just stand on my patio and just watch the water just every day just creep up just a little bit. And I figured like once it crosses the back part of my neighbor's fence yard, I know I'm screwed. I know it. I know it. And so it got to the point where it got close to it, but it never crossed it. And so it's the river pretty much recited back to its normal shape. And I was like, man, that was a dodgy bullet. And so I called my car insurance company. I asked like, hey, could you do me a quick favor? Could you like run me a estimate as far as if I wanted to get renter's insurance? Would it protect me if my house gets flooded? They said, yeah, sure, go for it. And so the person who did it is like, yeah. It's like, so I kind of had a question actually. Like, yeah, sure. Like, do you know that your house is in a high flood zone? I was like, no, but my landlord says it's not. They're like, well, no, your house is in a high flood zone. So we would suggest that you look into like a flood, like have flood insurance due to the fact that you have a river in the back of your house. And if that river creeps up, you very well could lose a lot of your stuff. So I told my landlord was like, no, I don't know what the person's talking about. I was like, no, like I'm literally on the phone with the renter's insurance. And they're saying like, yes, our house is in a high flood zone warning. And so he had to go back and talk to his people as far as getting a better understanding, because he's like, if my tenant is in a high flood zone warning or high flood zone area, would it make sense to have for them to get flood insurance just in case if the river does flood? And so even then, I guess his whoever got the math, and I wish I could make this up. It looked like a big U. And yeah, it looks like a big U. So it'll be like neighbor's house it'll be neighbor's house, neighbor's house. So it'll be neighbor's house, neighbor's house, neighbor house, neighbor house, neighbor house. That kind of ordeal. So you got the shape to here, shape here, and I'm basically in that middle portion of that U shape.
Gotcha. Okay.
Middle portion of the U shape, like. Mm-mm.
Shapiro? Was that Pennsylvania?
I think that might be Pennsylvania.
Oh shit! Nice. Sorry that we didn't know who it was. Yay! Congratulations!
Woo, woo, woo,
Oh
woo.
man. Oh yeah, I gotta like call up Pennsylvania and be like, "Hey, big head,
Right,
how you doing?"
man. Ugh. Whoops! I kicked my camera.
Woo! Congratulations, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is moving towards a cool direction. Who was your governor before? Because like, was this like a completely like, was there like an incumbent or was it just governor of Pennsylvania? Come on, Google, don't. Oh, Tom Wolfe. He was a Dem too. That's true. He's 73 years old, but the new governor, Josh Shapiro, he is 49. Okay, young guy. 4 kids. He was born in Kansas City, Missouri.
Hey,
But oh, he was the Attorney General of Pennsylvania. Okay. That's exciting. That is so exciting.
yes.
That is so, because he had like a cool proposal. I think he wanted to give people like gas money or something. Money towards, I think like homeowners or car owners money or something like that. Which I thought was pretty good. Oh, thank you, Toby. Sorry, I was like out here Googling when you just knew the answer. I understand. That's cool. You gotta do what you gotta do.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know you hated it. I wasn't a fan of it either, but it's not like the worst idea because there's still a lot of parts of Pennsylvania which is just massively car centric.
Mm-hmm.
I know, Chad. I know. Like one of the reasons why I would love to move to Pennsylvania is, Philadelphia. Well, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is because it's becoming a lot more like walkable, a lot more pedestrian friendly.
Right.
Pedestrian.
Right. I agree, Rocky.
Actually, I haven't heard him talk really. Sorry.
Yeah, I only heard him talk like a little tiny bit, but that's exciting because everybody was caring about the Senate race.
Yeah, no, the governor race I figured was going to have to go Democrat. Like, there was no way that Doug Mastriano was going to win that. And if there was, then I just don't even know what to think. I mean, like, I don't know. He's a weird guy because he's like not like a really big crazy fighter, but he's much more of like I'm a divinely appointed guy. Apparently, he kind of has a close cadre of people, almost like a bodyguard. Only people appointed by God. And like, listen, I come from the Christian faith. I'm not here to knock Christians. Obviously, Ron, I know we're all kind of have the background, but like, what, sir, what? Like, some of the things I was listening, like, he alienated a lot of Republicans. Like, the Republican endorsed Josh Shapiro. People who, and then like the police, again, I already said the police union, which is very powerful, they endorse Shapiro, but they endorse Dr. Oz too. So that's really the problem, is a lot of those people who decided, like, yeah, there's no way I'm voting for Doug, they're going to go vote for Dr. Oz to keep it close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. Oh, man. I would really, sometime like in the near but distant future, we're gonna have to talk about Christianity and how, as of right now, it's being jacked up and screwed over in so many different ways. It's not even funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even funny. And even then, I heard off of I think it was on YouTube. No, not YouTube, Facebook. It was on Facebook, and so some dude was like,
I'm sorry. Like I'm looking at California. It says 0% report again, but they're already like the Democratic governor won. I was like, you didn't have to count anything.
Wait, are you saying that that's already like a called?
Yeah, that's what Google is saying. I guess they're getting their information from the Associated Press, but it's just sort of funny.
right.
They're just like it says 0% reporting, and it's like whatever, y'all won.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was the Larry Elder, the Black radio conservative host. He who ran on the not runoff. What do you call it? The referendum, whatever, or the recall election. Larry Elder ran in that. I'm not sure if he was like a nominee for the regular election this year. I really have not been following California governor because the only people they really only cared that Newsom was going to get recalled, and he beat the recall. And after that, I feel like it was kind of like straightforward from there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry, but go on, Ron.
No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, and talk about it because the dude said, and I can't make this up. The dude said that the sinner's prayer is not in the Bible, and if anybody recites the sinner's prayer, saved. I kind of sat there and I thought about it. I'm like, the sinner's prayer is not in the Bible, but because it's not in the Bible, people aren't saved. And so I'm like, okay, so sir, how do they? Because the sinner's prayer is actually a part of a biblical scripture that is used. And so if people are using the components that they can trace back in the Bible, it's like, what's your argument? And so it just baffles me. It baffles me that so many evangelicals are twisting this whole thing upside down. And it's like, dude, you guys are making this way harder than what it is. Like, it's not that hard. Trust, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. It's not. But because old, rich white men tend to twist it that favors them, then the opposite. I have issues with that. Nobody stands up and speaks out against it. Like, hey, I think that's wrong. And here's the reason why I feel as though you're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It should be happening a lot more. But like I said, we could talk about that at a later time and a later date, because again, that's a whole can of worms by itself. But going back up to Rocky's question. Do you think?
Yeah, let me highlight that.
I would say this: in order for this to happen, I would like to have the voter age drop down to 16. In order for this to happen, I would like for the voting age to drop down to 16, due to the fact most 16-year-olds are already working part-time jobs. Mm-hmm. Most 16-year-olds are either already have their driver's license or working on getting their driver's license. So it shows enough that they are responsible enough to take care of their car and go to work, responsible enough. And a lot of times they're even more politically active than their own parents. And so by lowering the voting age down to 16, you're going to appeal to them as voters as well. And if they don't like you, they don't have to vote for you. Doesn't matter who you are. And even then, they may turn around and actually run for the same seat that you're trying to win and actually beat you at your own game. Because again, with the power of social media and with the way how they're using it in a way where if they can get their message out quick, fast, short, and simple and get it spread out to a bunch of people, go for it. Why not? Well, I mean,
I think more positive incentives. They recognize. Yeah, so I actually saw something today about who was I saw something today that was like what states kind of have different, I guess, mandated, because someone posted in like this Black professional group chat I'm in for Boston, and it was like, do employers in Massachusetts mandate that they give time off for voting? And I was like, I saw that, I was like, what? That doesn't sound like anything I've ever heard of. Then I looked it up, and apparently there are some states that mandate. Sometimes you get a few hours. I think Massachusetts mandates it, but only in the first 2 hours that pool's open. And that's actually for unpaid. So some people mandate paid leave. Some states mandate unpaid leave. I think Massachusetts is unpaid leave.
Oh, wow. I didn't know this.
Yeah, I didn't know that any of this was a thing. But and even some, like a lot of states like Wyoming and Arkansas, it was weird. Like some of those states actually had paid leave mandated. And I was like, wow. Texas was one of them that mandated it. At least it's not paid, unpaid. I was like, wow, okay. That's actually very interesting how nonpartisan that idea is. But actual election day as a holiday, I heard on the radio there was some. Oh yeah, Florida actually. There was a Florida. I think she's a Black lawmaker in Florida who was trying to push election day to be a holiday, but there was no appetite from her Republican colleagues for that. So I don't know. I mean, like that would be pretty cool to have businesses at least recognize election day. I know we got election day off at my company in 2020, but 2020 was a very weird year. So we got a lot of days off. Like we got 2 days off at the end of our fiscal year, like the last 2 Mondays in September, right before the fiscal year. We got Labor Day off, but that was 2021. We got the Friday before Labor Day off. This year we
okay.
Yeah. Because of course Labor Day is
so it's like you don't get Labor Day off?
Yeah, no, I had to clarify that.
Like, let's work at a tech company?
Yeah, that'd be strange. Like that should be illegal to not have Labor Day off. We got Juneteenth off starting this year, which was cool. So I feel like we already kind of got some different stuff. I don't like Election Day was not a holiday for us this year. I doubt it'll be a permanent thing because I feel like we have to allocate our money in certain ways and justify it, especially with federal funds. But we don't even get federal holidays off. We don't get Columbus Day, Indigenous Peoples Day off. We don't get President's Day off. So I'm like, we're not even getting federal holidays per se off.
Ooh.
Like we get Labor Day, Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving. We do get Veterans Day, which means this Friday I got off, which is nuts. And finally, Veterans Day is on a weekend for the first freaking time since I've been working at this company. Because when I started working here, I think it was a Tuesday. And then in 2020, no, when I first started, actually, Veterans Day was probably a Monday. Then it would have jumped to Wednesday for the leap year in 2020. Last year, it was on a Thursday. So okay, Monday, that did give us like technically a 3-day weekend, but I guess I just forgot. So I'm going to enjoy this weekend, or at least I will try. Part of me wonders if it would be better to force people to vote. Yeah, I know that there's compulsory voting in different countries, and you see like 90% plus. But I don't know, like, are people gonna like crap post to censor myself? Are people gonna like do nonsense at the polls and be like, I'm gonna vote for Mickey Mouse? I mean, there's already people who do stuff like that for write-ins, but like, I don't know, like, it would be cool, but I don't think people are gonna take it seriously. Like, I don't think it's gonna be a serious thing all of a sudden.
Right. I do think it would like eventually become serious. I'm sorry. What were you going to say, Toby?
No, just the last thing is that California, there was one town that I remember hearing on the radio, I think today or yesterday, one town did want to make 16-year-old, basically they wanted to lower the age to 16-year-old for municipal elections. But I guess some people were like, we don't want this to be the training wheels. Like for the big elections, because municipal elections are serious elections, which I agree. But I disagree that that means that 16-year-olds shouldn't vote in them, because like that they actually are going to have much more of a stake. And trying to like vote for the first time when you're away to college or possibly in the military or maybe working full time, maybe not in the same town, or maybe not the same state where you live, forget the same town. That's not necessarily the best introduction to voting. Like, Lord knows I didn't know what was going on when I went to college. I turned 18 my spring year of college. I registered just as an independent, but I had no idea any of the implications. I didn't even know about the governor race in 2014, which is when we got a Republican. I mean, Larry Hogan's cool enough, so whatever. But like, it was kind of a big shock. Like, oh my God, Maryland, we just got a Republican governor. And so, like in general, like you're not going to pay attention to those types of things. Like, what is a midterm if you didn't even vote? I didn't vote in 2012 because I was 17, so I couldn't vote for Obama or whoever. I mean, not that I was going to vote for Romney, but still, it's like I didn't. Like, there's more that you kind of grasp when you can vote early, because literally you're 16, 17 years old. You can look at your mayor, your city council, your whoever's, and take it more seriously. An idea that someone said before in the presidential, sorry, I know that you were going to say something, so I'll wrap up here. But an idea, I mean, I think Pete Buttigieg may have mentioned it, but even like I saw it in like a libertarian type magazine, like maybe the Washington Examiner or like something like that. It was saying that we should have like a national service type thing where you have like maybe not a year, but sometime where after you graduate high school, you have some service to your local and state communities. And I think that's super cool. Work for your board of elections, work for the transportation department in your state or your city, work for the transit, work for the energy department. And I think like you can get more civically engaged by working in your local and state departments, and learning how to vote at 16 would even help that. But let's see what's here. One of the force people. Yeah. When I was 16, I had a part-time job. Yes, and that was a big thing. I mean, of course, we had to kind of bring up the man. Andrew Yang, had this policy. It's just not popular at all. No one wants 16-year-olds to vote, apparently, across the political spectrum. But it's something. Actually, what the radio piece I heard said was it wasn't something that people are so set on, like abortion or the death penalty, where it's kind of hard to change your mind. It's actually pretty like people don't have a strong opinion. Like usually it's negative, but when you talk to them, they might say, you know what, I can be persuaded. So I feel like there's actually a lot of room to get people to vote, and especially if you make it municipal, it would be very interesting to see if people start making the voting age to be younger, as long as it's constitutional, because I'm not sure if the right to vote is age restricted in the Constitution, or if there was an actual federal law passed that makes it restricted to 18, or if it's a state thing that makes it restricted to 18.
Even then, let's look at it like this. Most elections is based upon the state level, anyways. If not all elections is based upon the state level. And so even if you, let's say, let's look like this. Let's say if Michigan wanted to put on their on their ballot initiative to lower the voting age down to 16. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's no federal amendment to the Constitution that says they can't do it. That they could if it's a ballot initiative, if it starts on the local level, they can do it. The federal government can't intervene on it because it's a local election. And even then, with the local elections, they tend to trickle up as it is, anyways. And so, if you have a bigger push locally to have the voting age lowered down to 16, then on a federal standpoint, they'll be able to recognize that and do it just pretty much across the board, anyways. The 10th Amendment is how it is.
10th of
No,
May.
Yep.
I agree, Mish.
Who voted for Dems?
No.
Yeah, and that of course is the thing too. Is the younger vote wins.
No, for sure. Like I think that like lowering the age would be like when I think about like a pretty cool idea, especially like the younger you are when you become engaged in the political field, like the more likely you're going to continue on with that.
Yes.
So I do think that's cool. I know that Rocky was initially asked if should voting be like mandatory. Like I see definitely like the positives of it, but like that's not gonna be like like in Australia you have to vote, so they have like a damn near 100% voter turnout, and you want to really like think of Australia being like that, but it is.
Yeah. Right.
Like if you were to have it be 100, like everybody has to vote, like that could be really fucking problematic because if we were to just suddenly flip the switch, we would have to have like election day be a day off. We would have to have longer early voting time, like dates. We would probably have to have the polls be open longer. Like maybe like 24/7 for like a week straight or something. Because there are people who work odd hours, and like being able to vote at different times would be beneficial. And of course, there are
Right.
people who are up late anyway, who wouldn't mind working the polls. But like, I do agree. Like, it would have to be like more incentives, to make voting easier for it to be like for everybody. But I think to start out, we should just make voting easier and like easily accessible.
Right.
Yes.
I agree.
Like that would be I'd say that's how we would have to start, because it's ridiculous when people are like standing in line for hours to vote. There's people who are like nervous about doing a mail-in ballot. There are people who are like,
Excuse me.
yeah, it's like you don't want to feel like your vote and your voice isn't being counted, but that's in a perfect world where there isn't like voter intimidation, that there isn't like
Yeah. Guns around the ballot boxes. Jesus.
right, yeah, that's becoming really fucking was it totalitarian, I think, or authoritarian, one of the Tarians.
Probably authoritarian.
Something.
Yeah.
But you know what though? To your point, Al, I think the time I spent out in Colorado, especially Colorado Springs, it opened up my eyes to what voting should across the board. And even then when we got our IDs, they asked us right out the gate, do you want to vote by mail? Like, what is that? I'm always used to going to the polling station and voting that way. It's like, no, you don't have to. Basically, what you do is for every election year, every election cycle, you will get your ballot mailed out to you. You fill it out, you put it in your secret sleeve, you go to whatever polling station within the county, and you drop it off in a drop box. That's it. You're done. You don't even have to wait in line. You can do it that way. Are you serious? Yes. And so in Colorado Springs, on each side of the city, you have a polling station. So if you live on the west side of Colorado Springs, you have a polling station with a drop box. If you live on the east side of Colorado Springs, you have a polling station with a drop box. North side, same thing. South side, same thing. And even like in the central area of Colorado Springs, you've had one. So they literally took it to the okay. There should be no excuse why you can't vote. There's no excuse. And they've had it for years. And their voting turnout, their voter turnout by far was the highest in the country. Because again, they was like the excuse of not able to vote. No, we're going to take that away from you because you don't have an excuse. You have multiple ways of voting. And even then, you can't say your vote doesn't matter if you don't have a ballot in your hand. Like, no, they're taking that away. And so, and even then, with that being said, as soon as you get your ballot, you can fill it out and drop it off pretty much the same day that you get it. And so again, they take that excuse away, like, well, I work crazy hours, okay, but you check your mail, don't you? Yeah, well, do you see your ballot in your mailbox? Yeah. Well, why don't you just go ahead and do it and drop it off before you go to work? Or if you work third shifts and whatnot, fill it out, and then on your way home, drop it off. If you have a day off, drop it off. Again, it takes away that excuse, and then more so puts the accountability back on the people where it ought to be in the first place. And so I've always loved their system, and it was like the best that I've ever known of. The best. And again, in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, this would have been a whole lot easier to be done in Michigan because the opportunity presents itself. It's there. And so I'm happy this year that they're actually doing that. They're going to actually, no excuse, boil goose, right? They are actually making it a priority to go ahead and implement absentee ballots. I mean, we already have absentee ballots, but now it's like, okay, with your absentee ballots, you can have a polling station that will take that in. No matter what part of the county that you live in, you can drop it off. It'll still be good. Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah. And I think he was kind of like he was a little far ahead too. Like it wasn't like super close called. Yeah, it was like damn near.
So, yeah, Ohio.
Like
I figured they weren't gonna have a whole lot of mail-in stuff to count. I wonder what the final margin will be because I felt like the race was definitely getting away from Ryan. But I mean, props to him for sticking that thing out because he basically did that was a one-man show with no national outside help, and he still somehow made it competitive. So like I don't know, like some people have mixed opinions of him, but I liked Ryan because he actually was one of the co-sponsors. I think he was like one of the first two co-sponsors of the recurring money for the people during the pandemic in the House.
Yes.
A lot of people don't remember that because they remember the Senate version with Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, and Ed Markey, Senator Harry Mass. But Tim Ryan, he had some not great moments in the presidential campaign. He was on the wrong end of a lot of viral moments, like Bernie's famous "I wrote the damn bill" line. But I think he actually did like some pretty good. He had some pretty good policy during the pandemic. Very working class focused. Very kind of like no nonsense. Even as a personal thing, he talks a lot about meditation and like wellness. I mean, some people don't like that because they kind of feel like it puts the burden on us, but I think it's a good thing to like focus on. And so I think as a guy, like he actually was like pretty cool. He kind of got it when it came to a lot of these issues, but it'd be interesting to see whatever happens next for him. It's just Vance. I know it's like Vance, Senator Vance. Like, what in the world? I don't know. Let's just hope that that's like one of the few of those like question marks. Like Senator Oz, Senator Walker do not need to be sentences or phrases that we say out loud in the next 6 years. Especially
Raphael, like Herschel Walker is leading, but not by much. Actually, like Raphael Warnock is definitely gaining on him. Okay. He's down by like 700 votes.
Yeah.
And like 86% is reporting, so there's still 14% left. So, yeah. Wisconsin, though, I'm upset because Mandela Barnes was in the lead, but Ron Johnson overtook him by kind of a lot, like 40. like 4,000 votes, but like 73% is reporting in, so they're still.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
interesting. You had the lead. Yeah, I have no idea what I would have to be watching this on like because I don't have like a physical TV, but I used to live in an apartment complex that had TVs in like the lobby, and so I literally was watching those TVs during the primary on Super Tuesday,
Mhm.
real time when Massachusetts went for Biden. I was like, what the heck? And then I also was watching the TVs for the general election, which was like such a useless endeavor because no one knew anything until like the next morning. And Trump, of course, decided to use that moment to say that everything needs to stop. Frankly, we want the election. So that was not a very good use of my time, probably, to watch the election night results in 2020 for the general. But like, it was nice because it was like CNN's John Keane, and like John Keane's very prolific in just the way that he does all these, like, he goes back and forth with the numbers and the screens, and it's just great to all of a sudden see, oh, we have new news, and then you're just like, what is this? What's date? What's happening? And sometimes the news is just that it goes from too early to call to too close to call. I'm like, okay, that's not the news I wanted to see. But it's a whole thing. Like, it's actually kind of fun to like watch. Like, I have like an actual like proper watch party where you're like looking at cable news. One of the few times I'll really watch cable news is for some of these like graphics and like analysis of the races. So I do kind of miss that a little bit, but Donald Trump didn't show.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, he literally did at one point, like, I guess he had said that Donald Trump was like basically Hitler at one point, and then he turned around, of course, got endorsed by Trump. Trump literally said, yeah, this guy said not great things about me, but now he's on my side. He literally said he's like a butt kisser, to put it cleanly. And then, yeah, so I mean, I was impressed with Ryan's kind of like, you know, the way that he kind of like used that in his debate. Not like it really mattered, I think, at the end of the day, but it's just one of those things where it's like, does this guy have anything that he stands for? At least Ryan was pretty consistent with a lot of stuff, other than just one Republican. I don't really have a lot of Georgia. Like, I have people who have transplanted there, and some people maybe who are students there, but most of those people would be very like pro-black, liberal-minded anyway. So, yeah, I mean, with Walker, like, it was like weird because you always saw polls that showed that Warnock was behind Walker, but then like there are so many scandals, and then you would see Warnock leading Walker by like 2 points, and then you would see like he would outraise. So it seemed like one of those things where it's just going to be like 2020. It's a very close state, very conservative, but you're going to have like a kind of narrow Warnock win. But then things got weird, where recently the polling averages, I think, shifted to go towards Walker pretty consistently. And I was like, oh, I know y'all are effing lying.
Right.
Yeah, Ryan did run against Pelosi for speakership. So he's not just doing this for show. Like, he actually has principles where he's like, we need different change. We need to have a different focus. Now, he got some heat for that, especially from some of the more like pro-Clinton people who were like, oh, you ran against Pelosi. I don't know. That's a whole different thing. But yeah, every time I hear her talk,
Bless you, whoever sneezed. If you sneeze.
I coughed.
Oh, I thought that was actually Ron sneezing. Okay, bless you.
Okay.
Or, I think that's not bless you.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this mess.
In terms of politics around the table, well, just to kind of give myself like a quick pivot wrap up thing, it was never really discussed around our Thanksgiving table except in 2020, and at that point we were more talking about Black Lives Matter, kind of a pretty intense discussion that we normally don't have in our house, and so that was kind of coming up. Interesting perspectives given my family's, like, you know, parents are immigrants, siblings, we all grew up here, but I mean, my parents definitely conceded that there was a lot wrong with the policing, and they were very kind of concerned for us. And something my mom has talked to me a lot more about being a young Black man. I shouldn't be out late. don't want to get pulled over, and that stuff I never heard about growing up, even when I was in college. It wasn't until I was a little older, like grad school and onwards. So now I feel like that conversation kind of comes up, but we don't really talk about politics proper, like actual candidates, parties. I know my mom just wasn't a fan of Trump, like, and she talked a lot about things like discrimination. Um, but like, it's not like we explicitly have these conversations around politics. Like even 2016, I don't think we talked about politics really. Um, and I wasn't home because I was in college, but it still seemed like from what I heard in the house, it would come up sparingly. Um, so politics around the dinner table, at least, is not something I'm anticipating is going to be a very big thing. Um, and then, I mean, it'll be interesting to talk to my siblings. I actually they actually had weed on the ballot. I didn't know that until I got a text, because I still get texts, people who think I'm still registered in Maryland. And so it said Proposition 4 or Question 4. And I was like, oh, interesting. I didn't realize that Maryland had that because we're very behind. Like Virginia freaking beat us last year. Now there's no chance because they have a Republican governor, but when there was still a Democrat, they legalized weed. So I'm just like, Maryland and DC has it legalized. Pennsylvania, of course, no, Pennsylvania is not. It's New Jersey and New York that legalized. Delaware doesn't have it either, but like a lot of the surrounding places do. So in my closing pitch, I'll just say politics is something, but even my siblings don't seem to be as. I mean, they are engaged to some degree, but like I feel like I talk like about politics proper a bit more. Even when I sent that thing in my chat, one of my sisters was very like pro like abolition type stuff, very, I would say not I want to say radical, but definitely more strongly pro black in a lot of ways. I think she said that she doesn't know much about the ballot, but she just is more interested in decriminalization and getting basically black and brown people out of jail, which I said, well, legalization hopefully will be a step to that. I don't know. My siblings, they could have already voted early. They could have voted by mail. I'm not sure. But, and then as for other tables, I kind of joke that there's also the student cafeteria table, the workplace table, but I'm so far removed from a lot of those that I don't know how politics discussions will show up sort of in other communal spaces. Especially given our like remote culture of work and liquor stores. Where are you again under? In terms of what state? That's my final little pitch, or not really pitch, but just my relation to the topic at hand and food, I guess.
Right.
Virginia. Okay, so you're actually really close. Depending on the part of Virginia you're in. But assuming that you're in like Northern Virginia or Hampton Roads area, yeah, I've definitely been around both. Growing up in Salisbury, Eastern Shore, and in Southern Maryland, Waldorf. So it's an interesting place, neighbor, or former neighbor, I would say.
Yeah. One thing, and we'll go from there. I know this Thanksgiving, I don't know, as far as like talking about politics around the table. Like I said, typically it's not necessarily politics, but it has been more so like football and everything else. But I am interested to see what, especially with my younger cousins, with my younger cousins, like how that's going to turn out and how the conversation is going to go. Because a lot of them, they're not necessarily actively involved in politics, but at the same time, they are aware how it does affect them in a way. So it'll be good to talk to them and see, we'll get their thoughts and ideas and feedback and so forth and so forth. And pretty much just go from there.
Yeah, no, that's good. Spread the word. You know, you said younger cousins. I don't have a lot of younger siblings, but or I don't have any younger siblings, but I don't have a lot of younger cousins necessarily. I don't talk about all that, but
Um, for me, like talking about politics with family, that wasn't really a thing. Like, it's not like we didn't speak of it at all, but it was just like we don't really like talk about it all that much. But I'm the youngest, so like maybe like my older siblings may have spoken about it. Um, one of my sisters is really like more so, like I'd say like more so tied to politics. The one, my sister who's in Boston, like she even like interviewed the governor of Massachusetts like the other day.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, she's always doing like some awesome ass shit, and it's like, oh, like she's like shares a picture. It's like, oh yeah, I interviewed the governor. It's like, why didn't you tell us sooner that you were doing this? But
Right.
but yeah, so she is I believe like an assistant professor at Harvard.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't
Very
remember. I
nice.
kept saying like associate professor, but I believe it's assistant professor. Let me actually. Yes, assistant professor, health policy and politics.
that's beautiful.
So she's more so like, connected with it, talking about like more so like talking about politics and everything, because she's the one who always talks about the maternity mortality rate of mothers giving birth. So,
Mhm.
and I think I've shared some of her interviews in the Discord. But as opposed to like the rest of my family, like my siblings, like we definitely lean Democrat. Like we always all vote Democrat, so it makes talking about politics easier.
There you go.
Yeah, like, but I think it has heightened over the years because just like a lot of shit's just been happening, and it's really fucking annoying. Because I really just miss the days where you just didn't really have to care. But like, I guess we should always care, yeah. But I wish it wasn't like so.
Existential.
Yeah, thank you. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I really wish like it was just more so like, are we voting for universal healthcare or single payer healthcare? At least like moving in the right direction and just arguing about that. Or like,
Mhm.
it's like, oh, should it be like, like the, abortion be like up to 24 weeks or to like whenever, it's not like, oh, let's limit it to 6 weeks because like there's like these little electrical flutters in the, I want to say embryo because it's not even a fetus yet at 6 weeks.
Mm.
It's either an embryo or like a zygote. And it's like, oh, that's like little electrical flutters of showing of, something's going on. And it's like, might be a heart. And it's like, oh, that's a heartbeat.
Mm.
That's what that is. Like, but anyways, it has definitely heightened because like, Roe v. Wade being overturned and, women just having less rights now. And people, I guess a lot of fucking people are just cool with that, which I find to be, incredibly odd. But yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll probably piggyback off of what you said too, El, because it's not the fact that we don't talk about it, but at the same time, I don't know if like my grandma and her brothers and sisters, I don't they talk about it a whole lot, but even if we do talk about it, it does get very interesting. It does. And as far as it being heightened, I want to say like pretty much overall, I do believe it has been heightened overall. just due to the fact that a lot of things have happened and a lot of things are like make your head scratch like really that really did just happen. Like, and again, we elected Donald Trump. If I don't need to say anything else, we had Donald Trump as president. Nobody thought in a million years that would happen, but we had him as president. But
Yeah,
even then, but even then, we have Barack Obama as president for not just one term, but for 2 terms. And so it's like, oh, okay, that happened. So
mhm.
I think as the years go on and as more and more people get politically involved, whether it's on local level, state level, national level, I still think that those are still going to generate a lot of conversations and open up a lot of doors for a lot more opportunities for more conversations.
Do you think so? Like, you really think like because of that's going to open up more doors? Because I feel like it's just made people go more towards like their respective silos.
Well, and I'll put it like this: the city that I live in, Three Rivers,
Mm,
it's for the most part conservative. For the most part, even the
right.
county is even the county itself is more so conservative. However, because of the fact that a lot more people are starting to lean either independent and or democratic, it does give more people that chance to actually talk and not just talk, but to defend their beliefs. And even because of the fact that a lot of the older Republicans are slowly dying off and are being replaced with younger Republicans who are more open-minded than their parents were. It does it does level the playing field a whole lot more, meaning that those opportunities for somebody else who's not a Republican, if they want to run, they can run. And for more and for kicks and giggles, they could possibly win. They could very well possibly win. And so I look at it like that, and I look at how a lot has changed in the 4 years that I've been here. And even then, just looking at it as a kid when I was coming down to Three Rivers, and just slowly watching how it's been changing over the years, how it's evolving, and how like more and more people are wanting to come here and wanting to push the envelope a lot more to make people a lot more uncomfortable and be like, I don't think what you believe in is like totally correct. And here's the reason why. And I think you should probably think things a little bit more deeper because just because somebody has an R next to their name, just because somebody has a D next to their name, doesn't mean anything. Because if their policy sucks, their policy sucks. It just means they just suck
Exactly.
overall.
Right.
Give a little bit more thought. And so, and again, as time goes on, I believe that those conversations are going to happen a lot more where people aren't going to get super butthurt about it, but at the same time, it does cause them to think a little bit more.
Yeah. I just hate how like when people say it has to get bad before it gets good, it's like, why the hell do we have to go all the way bad?
I mean, I get you. I get it.
Mm.
Trust me, I do. But even if things were good, there's no need for change.
True. Yeah. That's very true. And it's cool that like, like the people in your area are like slowly changing and things like that, which
Mhm.
I guess like in a way like does give me hope. But
Oh yeah.
you say like the older Republicans are dying off and then like but like there's still like the younger Republicans who I still feel is like they might be open minded in like certain cases, like maybe like marijuana
Oh yeah,
And
certainly.
I don't know, that's maybe abortion depending on where they are, if they have like a biology degree. But
Right.
um I don't know, like they're still trying to have like a ginormous push for women need to have like a bunch of kids and men need like like more like quote unquote traditional um as like traditional roles, gender roles, familial family roles sort of thing. Like there's
Hmm.
still that, you know, stupid ass push.
Right. Right. And I
Like,
get that. I trust me, I do. And I'm actually going to, because I was looking at as we were talking throughout the whole live stream, I was looking at my county as far as the the ballot measure for protecting reproductive rights. So 50%, 56, almost 57% of the voters said no, and 43% of the voters said yes. And I look at that and I think about it a lot more because despite all of the no votes, especially and again, like I was saying before, because of the fact that they were based upon a lot of Republican areas. Um, what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a lot more of these cases where those families who are wanting to break the status quo and be like, well, I understand that you don't want um, me to have a say so over my body, but at the same time, what are the consequences going to be if I need to have this procedure done so I can um, have more kids, you know? Or
mhm.
maybe I just don't want kids because I don't like dealing with kids. I work with kids 24/7 and I just don't want kids of my own. I'd rather adopt or I'd rather foster. But as far as having some of my own, I want to be able to say yes or no. I
Right.
want to be in control and not, and again, and not just be like, grandma and granddad who had like 17 kids. Like, no, in this economy, heck no. No, I don't even want one. I don't. I don't want one if I can't provide for my own self. What makes you think I'm going to be able to adequately provide for, you know, me, my spouse, plus two other kids, one of the kids?
Hmm.
Go sit down. Gil, go sit down. Go sit down. Go over there, go sit down. Just leave computer. Just go over there and sit. Go over there and sit down. Go over there and sit down. Not all kids are bad, okay? Not all of them. Sure, I will say yes, there are some I will give the bird to, yes, but for the most part, not. No.
There are some shifts all over the place. Like some conservatives are leaving in the millennial and Gen Z demographic, and some liberals are leaving in the Hispanic, black, and white male demographics. Oh, yeah, that's true. And that's like kind of that's I mean, for it's not surprising for men to be leaving the liberal demographic though. I'll just straight up say that. It's like I don't want to be like, wow, that's so surprising. Like, have you met men? I don't. Sorry for being that person, but it's just like you're not on Bumble. You're not a straight woman on Bumble. So it would have like your political affiliation, like, and you can pick it. And like, yo, every man is like apolitical, moderate, not political, conservative, not political, moderate, or they don't put their political affiliation or anything at all. And it's like, you're looking for women though. It's just weird when, like, I don't know. I don't think I'm thinking too much into it because, you know, like, fuck that shit of being like, being able to see both sides and moderate and blah blah. Like, we're already a country that leans heavily, like, leans right overall. So like when people are like, oh, well, both sides are crazy, it's like, you just don't have, you're just repeating what, like, you don't really fucking know what's going on. Like, you follow a particular thing of social media, like maybe YouTube, and they're saying both sides shit, so you're just copying that. Like, I highly doubt that you're really looking into it. No offense to some people. Very few some. Like, I just don't, like, I don't want to sound like, I don't want to sound like a man hater. I just don't have faith in people.
I agree.
It's like, I know how people are because I'm people. And I like, so I know this may not sound like make any sense, but, you know, just like follow along. So like when you see people or like men with, you know, like their political affiliation on like dating apps like Bumble, or even I think Hinge has it too. I can't remember, but I know I just always see it on Bumble distinctively. It's just, I guess they're trying to seem kind of like go with the flow-ish, and it's like, you can't really just be all like whimsical and, you know, like, let me see how, when it comes to like my fucking rights. Like, that's how I straight up see it. It's, you know, I don't want to sit here and date a man and have to teach him politics. Like, you're a grown ass fucking man. Like, you should know how to care. It's like, why are you on a dating app wanting to like have some sort of connection with somebody? It's not, you know, it's not even like you have to have like a deep connection. But if you're trying to make some kind of a connection, why are you just gonna not fucking care about this person?
Right.
You know, like,
right.
It's like, you know, the person could be like the biggest massive like piece of shit. It's like, I don't want them to have less rights though. Like, that's like, you know, I don't want to just like not care like at all, you know, like it just makes like no sense to me, like how people can just be like, just disassociate like so much. And like, I know that we were talking about this like last month, and this will be really quick. I'm so sorry. Like, it's getting late, everyone. But like, we're pretty much like talking about it like last month, like men and women, males, females. But it's like, when you live in a patriarchal society, it's like women are always going to be looked at as like second, as less than, as not as important. And it's really fucking annoying when you're dating, because it's like, you don't want to like have that in your home where I have to sit here and convince a grown ass man, a grown adult human being that's like, hey, my reproductive rights matter. Like, you gotta like, you have to care. And then I have to sit here and convince this man, like this grown ass man, as to like why you should care about women, because like you were taught that we were just like second class citizens essentially, or you grew up in a society where we were just sort of lesser than, or you're like, well, you have to pay for your date, or like some bullshit to like try to make yourself feel like things are like even and equal. It's like, no, Like, especially if you're a white man, if a rich white man specifically, if all like the laws and amendments of like, progression of, women, black people, people of color, gays, and if everything was just overturned, your rights will still be fine. And it's not written anywhere. Like that's that's like the kind of the crazy part of this like fucking country. It's not written. I mean, it's like, I guess if you count like the Declaration of Independence, like we hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. But it's like you just know it's just about white men though, even though it doesn't say that. But like if everything was fucking overturned, your rights would just by default still be there. It would still be fine. And the fact that you can't fucking see that, and the fact that you're just like trying to meet a woman and trying to like engage with us, and you can't even fucking care or you can't care a lot because you see arguments online because a woman wants a guy to pay for a date like that's $600, and you think that's enough of a reason for women to be lesser than and to like have our rights removed. So you're just gonna be like, I don't know, I'm kind of on the both sides here. It's like that's not the fucking same. Sorry, rant and rant.
Oh, you're good. No, you're good. You're good, and it's valid. It's a very valid point because what most men fail to realize is that in order for you to remotely think about starting a family, you have to care about women. You have to. You have to. You see them every day. You probably work with them every day. And in most cases, like myself, you're probably like the only man that. So it's like you got to care at least enough, even if you don't. Even and again, you don't even have to like them, but at least care. At least, at the very least, care that they're still a human being. At the end of the day, they're still a human being. They're still a human being. They still deserve to be loved, cared for, just like anybody else. So it's like, dude, understand the world does not revolve around you. No, you are not King Tut, nor will you ever be. So you can get off of that. And for the most part, I understand that you have a Napoleon complex. So sorry, but not sorry. Grow up and understand that it's not okay to be a douchebag at the end of the day. It's not, regardless of who you are. It's not.
Like, you gotta understand why women might be upset and frustrated and annoyed when we're like talking to you, especially engaged with you online. And it's like, well, if they just spoke to me nicely, like, no, fuck that. If you can't understand why we're fucking mad, then get the fuck out of my face. Like if if us being upset upsets you because you want us to like smile and be, like soft spoken, because in your warped brain you think that's how women all have to be 24/7 to appease your fuck ass, then no. Like you clearly don't understand like the bigger situation. If you can't understand why we're angry, if you can't understand why we're frustrated, if you can't comprehend that it's like, hey, we had more rights a couple of months ago, now we don't in several states. If you can't fucking comprehend why that might piss us off, then it's like, why the fuck, like, what the fuck are you trying to do? It's like, yeah, I may not know any women in Indiana, but that doesn't mean I shouldn't give a fuck, Like it's just odd. And it's like, just because you're not fucking any women in Indiana doesn't mean like none of these women in Indiana or Ohio or anywhere or like Georgia or anywhere else, Texas don't matter. Like it's just so fucking bizarre. Like it's so fucking bizarre to me how people just can't like care. Like it's just weird.
Right. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Like you were rather.
Thank you. If it's not obvious, I'm very passionate about this. But women's rights kind of runs in the family. So.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, if you think that, what would I want to say? If you believe that an inanimate object should have more rights than women, then do buy. Just go build a camp somewhere in the forest and just live there. You and your inanimate objects, that you put a scope on and a stock and some kind of grip with a laser. You just go there and be one with the forest by yourself because clearly you don't get it. You don't get the bigger picture. But
and
that's
Ron
just
here is a gun owner too.
yes.
Yeah, I'm not calling you out. You've mentioned this on the stream several times. So
Again, yes, agreed. Yes, and would I love to get another one? Yes, I would. I would love to. However, I don't give it no more or less. Actually, no, I take that back. More rights than my daughter. It still doesn't have any more rights than my wife. It still doesn't have any more rights than Elle. It doesn't. No, because I could burn that thing and I could turn it to scrap metal. Don't care. But as far as like Elle, wife and daughter, and all my nieces and aunties, I will fight to the bitter end. And if I have to use my gun to make it happen, boom, I'm doing it.
Because it really is that fucking serious. And like, I love what Ender said. He put it succinctly what I said. Thank you so much, Ender. He goes, ask nicely or be left to suffer pregnancy complications is a weird dynamic. It's like, exactly.
Right.
Like if black men were losing their right to vote, and I was just like just black men specifically, but not black women, like I would like if you guys were like raging in the streets, I was like, of course you are. Like of course you guys would be doing that.
Right.
What's like I would be too if I wasn't like scared. Not because of black men, just because of cops, honestly.
Oh my gosh. Don't get me started.
Or people who are like, black men should lose the right to vote. And they're like, why? This is all hypothetical, of course. But I don't. Or if like black men just had like a wage cap for some reason, it's like,
right?
Like y'all can't make more. It's like, what the fuck? Like, of course you guys would be like. That's like how it feels. That's like what it is. It's like, oh. Mm-hmm. In these certain states, you just have less rights, so don't get raped.
Like, oh my gosh! Don't get me started. No, please don't get me started. I will go to jail. I will literally go to jail. I would not bet. I will go to jail. I will go to jail. I will go to jail. Peace.
See you, Chad.
I would go to jail. I would. Woo.
Yes, we're keeping our fingers crossed.
Yeah,
I like him a lot. He seems like a solid dude.
Oh yeah, Fetterman. Yeah. I just need my homegirl to pull it out because she ain't looking so hot.
I'd be very surprised if Tudor Dixon wins there.
No, I'm not worried about Tudor. I'm not worried about Tudor. Tudor is getting her butt kicked. I ain't worried about her.
Which homegirl are you talking about? Are you talking about the attorney general or one of the other races?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. She ain't looking so hot.
Yeah. Those other races are very questionable, honestly. Like, especially Arizona. Arizona is like the one that I really don't have a lot of hope for. I think Mark Kelly will be fine, but I don't have hope for the wave check. Out here drowning in the waves.
I got my durag in my hat, so.
And I thought that was what your thing was alluding to, was blue red wave and then actual hair waves. I assume that's what your name was alluded to, Ron. Maybe that riding wave thing was not supposed to be a reference to actual hair waves, but okay, no. I was a little too big brain then. I just jumped ahead and thought your pun was something else.
Hey, shout out to the do-rag. It's a rag for your dude.
Right. Like, do-rag saves lives. Do-rag saves lives. Wave caps in lives. Do-rag saves. I endorse do-rags. Fair
enough.
All right, y'all.
This is a good place.
Yeah.
This is a good place. We gotta cut it. We love you guys. We thank you guys for coming out. We thank you guys for hanging out. If you are on Twitch, stick around. We're gonna end up rating a good friend of ours. Name is Champagne. She was one of the Black Gangers who was around, and she actually streams. She's a really, really good streamer. So if you guys are still on Twitch, we're going to raid her channel afterwards because we want to give her some love and some support. She's been loving on us and supporting us since day one. So it's like, we might as well go ahead and do the favor to her. Okay. So that's happening that's what we're going to do on Twitch. Good night, everybody else. If you're not on Twitch, it's okay. No worries. I gotta see.
We forgive you this time.
Yeah.
Yes, this time. Next time, I don't know, but this time for sure.
Alrighty, y'all.
Go ahead, Al.
Oh no, I was just saying goodnight to everyone.
Good night.
Sound of Music style. Good night.
Farewell.
Good night.